Three, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. One of the things we tried to do this year was go to at least every district once. So we are mobile during this period. But I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. Superintendent, I am going to turn the meeting over to you, and you can proceed. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Usually I begin by just introducing whatever school we're at, that school administrator. I would like to make a request of our board president, Mrs. Belton Cotman, and ask if we could do something a little different this time, and if we could begin by having a moment of silence as a show of respect for Mr. Jason Arno, who's a well-respected Buffalo fireman who unfortunately lost his life during the call of duty on March 1st, 2023, while responding to a structural fire in downtown Buffalo on Main Street. By doing this, we want his wife, child, family, and the family of all first responders to know that the Buffalo Public Schools extends deep condolences and sympathies. If I have permission. Thank you. If we could all rise and have a moment of silence. Thank you. Please be seated. This school has created beautiful banners in English and in Spanish that are signed to show our love for the work that firefighters do every day. I believe, Mr. Barrera, that the banners are outside on a table. They're right here. If you could bring them up to the front. If there are guests who would also like to sign the banners, we invite you to do so. They will be delivered to the engine where Mr. Arnault was a firefighter tomorrow. And again, it's a way of our students and staff showing our support. Thank you, Mr. Barrera. I now want to introduce our principal extraordinaire, Mr. Freddie Barrera, and his administrative team, Ms. Toro and Mr. Pryor. All of the teachers, nurses, school clerks, engineering staff, teacher aides and assistants, and the cafeteria staff do an absolutely exemplary job every day at this very wonderful Duville Porter campus school, where the mantra of this school is knowledge is power. And I know that we all agree with this. You'll notice that all of us are wearing, in a show of solidarity, a pen, a flag, as further evidence of our support. Mr. Barrera, I invite you to welcome everyone to your school.
Thank you, Dr. Staples. By the way, when Dr. Williams was speaking about the banner, I have to say that Mrs. Toro, our wonderful assistant principal, actually put a field trip together to Engine 2 in 3 days. So she did that, and we appreciate that. She's taking all the seventh graders. One group of seventh graders going tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I believe. So just stay tuned. This is going to take 45 minutes. Dear Dr. Williams, Board President Ms. Cosma, uh, board members, school community. It is a great honor to welcome all of you to our beautiful school building, Duyubil Porter Campus School number 3. This is a wonderful opportunity to share with you who we are. School 3 is a bilingual school to begin. Nosotros hablamos español y también hablamos inglés. Todo el día. Y las cosas que ustedes ven están traducidas también en inglés y español en todo el edificio. We'll translate that another day. We have implemented the dual language program from pre-K to 6th grade. School 3 serves an average of 30 L students per grade band. Over 51% of the total student population are L students. So 50% of these L students are at the entering or emerging proficiency level, so requiring the highest level of ENL services. 22% of our L students receive special ed services as well. So that makes our job challenging. However, we strive to provide all our students with the best quality education. School 3 is bilingual. School 3 is also a community school, working in collaboration with our partners, the Bell Center and Say Yes. We're able to implement engaging and targeted activities during Saturday academies and special evening events. School 3 is also a restorative building. We continue to train new teachers and restorative practices and the implementation of restorative circles, including restorative circles are actually built in and scheduled. School 3 is a CHAMP school. Conversation, help, activity, movement, participation, and success. Students enjoy a structured classroom with clear expectations and a greater sense of belonging. School 3 is also a McCoy school, and it might sound a little weird to you. It's a McCoy school. McCoy is our new mascot. Used to be the Viking. We thought the Viking didn't make any sense to us. We made the change in an effort to have a more inclusive, culturally responsive mascot. So we chose the mascot, the McCoy. It's our new mascot that speaks to our population, our demographic, our way of being, and our culture. Leslie School 3 is celebrating its birthday this year. It's more than 100 years. And I didn't know that until last year when I received from Ohio, someone who was cleaning her house, someone passed, and they were cleaning the basement, and they ran into report card. I'm sorry, not a report card, moving up ceremony program. So it looks like a this thick booklet, really nice, from 1924. 1924. So it's an antique. And yesterday, believe it or not, someone from California sent me a report card in the mail. Was cleaning the house too. Someone passed. You know, we talk about almost 100 years. So this is a 6th grade, school 3, monthly report cards. And we still have, we had spelling, reading, writing, arithmetic, geography, and all of that with grades and all of that. It says promoted. So this is to say that school 3 has gone through history through different challenges, different cultures, different changes, different demographics. And School 3 is still standing. I like to finish up with like that. It's still standing. Um, and I appreciate, really, we appreciate the board meeting being here. This is really a showcase for us. I hope you continue doing this at every school rotating. I hope you come back to School 3. Um, I really thank Dr. Carestes. I know he came in here and he saw the auditorium. He went like that, like, too small. But it's cozy and it speaks to family. So he said, we'll make it happen. And he helped me out with his team to put this together so it looks beautiful. And he did it in no time. I appreciate that. Okay. And I appreciate also I was going to say Dr. Perez. Mr. Perez also being here every step of the way, helping us, supporting us, just to make sure that everything was ready for the board meeting. So I appreciate you all. And now I'm going to, thank you. I'm going to introduce Dr. Staples. We have some students performing for us, and Dr. Staples, a wonderful music teacher, put this together, and I want to let her introduce our kiddos. Thank you so much.
Hello, good evening. Thank you. I'm very excited to share the talents of some of my very special junior high students. First up, we have Jovandria Costa. He is in 7th grade, and he will be reading a poem by Maris Alonso Santamaria.
Thank you. La luna y el sol. Hoy está nublado hoy está nublado el sol y he oído al caracol que se van de vacaciones juntos la luna y el sol. Pero no se pueden ir, pronto la tierra protesta, a lo que el sol y la luna enseguida le contestan. Todo el mundo necesita sus días de vacaciones y aunque no esté en el contrato, esas son las condiciones. Dejamos un sustituto que hará bien nuestras funciones y se fueron de viaje por otras constelaciones. The moon and the sun go on vacation. Today, the sun is cloudy, and I heard the sound of the shell, that they're soon leaving on vacation together, the moon and the sun. But they can't go. They cannot go, the earth protested, and the sun and the moon immediately answered. Everyone needs their days of vacation, and even though it's not on the contract, those are the conditions. We left a substitute who will do our very good job. And they left and out forward for other constellations. Thank you.
Up next, we have Jandriel Baez, and he is also in 7th grade, and he is playing an original composition on our Cubano drum. Up next, we have 7th grader Yalianis Martinez Diaz, and she'll be reading a poem by Barbara Vance.
Your Best by Barbara Vance. If you're always if you always try your best, then you'll never have to wonder about what you could have done if you summoned all your thunder. And if your best was not as good as you hoped it would be, you could still say, I gave today all that I had in me.
Up next, I have two eighth graders, Ariana Heath and Holden Harden. A little backstory as they are getting ready with this one. This is completely student led. Um, they figured out this arrangement on their own. It is based on the song Washing Machine Heart by Mitski. And they put together both parts and they worked really hard these past couple weeks putting it together for you. Wi-Fi in this room is not good. All right, up next, and our final performance is Lisa Vielli Ortiz, also known as Lexi, and she will be singing the song I See Red by Everybody Loves an Outlaw.
Did you really think I just forgive and forget? No, after catching you in hell, your blood should run cold, so cold. You know you're two-time and cheap lying wanna be your fool. If you thought that I'd just let this go, I see red, red, oh red. A gun to your head, head to your head. Executioner style, red. Oh no, no. You're so dead. You better sleep with one eye open tonight. I see red, red, oh and there won't be no trial. Don't you know that you're better off dead? All I see is red, red, oh red. All I see is red.
Come on, give it up for our students. Want to hear it? Thank you so much.
Mr. Barrera, if we could assemble the students in front along with yourself and the teacher and your administrative team with the board members so that we can get a picture. We're very, very, very impressed with all of the expressions that your students shared. I mean, poetry and musical ensembles and singing. Mr. Perez, I'm sorry, could they come up on the stage or up here? I sure couldn't do that. Yeah, I couldn't do that. Where's Kim at? Where's Kim? Oh, thank you, school number 3, Duville Porter campus. I would ask the board members to stay put because we've got good news on top of good news. So we've got another award for some exemplary work that has happened at our math, science, technology high school that is located at 646 East Delavan Avenue. Our principal, Miss Danielle Womack, is knocking it out of the park. She and her administrative team, Mrs. Cosgrove and Mr. Wheeler, are a dynamic team. Their team of teachers and all of their learning community are taking equity to the next level. This school offers not just one, but a multitude of advanced placement courses for their students. Nine, not six, seven, or eight, they're offering nine. The second highest number of advanced placement courses offered at any high school in the Buffalo Public School District. Can we give it up for them? And tonight, we're going to honor some of her scholars. I just have to read a little bit about, what we're honoring. It's five of her scholars, six, all right, for their academic excellence in their Harvard University's Poetry in America course that was offered through Arizona State University. Each year, thousands of students across the country participate in this course, and this year, six MST students are being nationally recognized for their academic excellence. We've got to give it up. I'd like to ask Associate Superintendent of School Leadership, Ms. Charlene Watson, and Principal Womack and her team to come up and say a few words about this wonderful achievement. And this is Principal Womack's first year as a principal. And I believe Mr. Wheeler is this your first year as the assistant principal at MST. Ms. Cosgrove, is she here? Oh, she's not here. Okay. Is this a first for her too? Fourth year. Okay. Still a baby. Still a baby. So we know continued great things are going to just manifest at MST. Principal Womack.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, prestigious board members. My name is Danielle Womack. I'm the current principal of MST High School. I come to you tonight as a very proud first year principal. I'm excited to share with you that during the first semester of the school year, 16 of my students took a rigorous course, rigorous dual accredited course designed by professors at Harvard University, co-taught and co-planned by three BPS teachers and a professor from Arizona State University. I'm very proud to announce that 6 of my 16 students received national recognition from EdEquity Labs for their academic excellence while taking the course entitled Poetry in America. My students read and wrote about poets like Walt Whitman and Langston Hughes. The course exposed them to social justice issues as well as themes and motifs that are still prevalent today. Tonight, you will hear from two of my teachers that taught the course, as well as two of my students that were inducted into the National Honor Society. So, without further ado, I would like to bring up Mandy Kraska, an ENL teacher at MST High School.
Good evening. My name is Mandy Kraska. I have the honor of co-teaching with Corey Pelchinsky and Don Zeiss the Poetry in America course. This course is important for our students for many reasons, and it is more than just a poetry course. Poetry in America not only creates love and an appreciation for, but also an understanding of poetry. It also provides a look into the past, the good, the bad, and the ugly, touching on social, political, and racial issues that we still find prevalent today. Students are asked to think critically by taking a deep dive into the poets' lives, backgrounds, and passions, as well as the historical context, and how those two things impact our point of view and the author's purpose. They are also asked to focus on the rhetoric being used, the nuances of word choice and conventions, for example. Furthermore, our students learn to meet hard, fast deadlines, how to prioritize, how to manage time, how to respond to others' work, and more. It does not end there, though. Students are then asked to make connections and apply all of these skills to contemporary song lyrics in a novel. While the objective of this course certainly is to support post-secondary skills, it is also to create a love of language, learning, and growing. It is clear our MST community is indeed doing just that as we are here tonight to celebrate our excelling scholars for their accomplishments in this course. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to now bring up one of our scholars, MD Shoykat, sorry.
Hello. Um, First, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of all of you about this course. And I would like to thank all my teachers and our school admissions who helped bring this course into our school. When we started this course, we didn't expect much. We didn't expect learn. I'm really sorry. When I started this course, we didn't expect much. We didn't expect much besides poetry and poets. However, it was full of surprises for us. The Poetry in America course taught us advanced skills we're not expecting to learn in our high school. For example, we were able to learn not just about poetry and writing skills, the ability to see the world through the poet's perspectives. We read their motivation and views of the world, beginning in the 18th century and moving on to the 21st century. And even though it was an English course, we learned in depth about this country's history and culture. Furthermore, it prepared us for college in a way we didn't expect. It taught us how to succeed under stress, to meet hard deadlines, and if we didn't meet them, it taught us how to approach the professor and advocate for ourselves. Through this course, we learned to manage our time, manage priorities, make plans, advocate for ourselves, and so much more. The continuation for this course in um, the continuation of this course in the future will teach upcoming students the same thing as we learned, if not much more. I'll end with this statement. High schools are in preparing students for college, but this course and our teachers here are preparing us to get out of our comfort zone, speak up, and be ready for our first day in college. Thank you so much. And I want to introduce Mr. King.
How do you follow that? Good evening. I'm Corey Pelchinsky. I'm one of the 3 co-teachers of this Poetry in America course. Over the course of the past 3 years, I've had the privilege to co-teach the Poetry in America course with 2 of the most talented women in their fields. Miss Mandy Kraska, who is our amazingly talented E&L teacher, and Mrs. Dawn Zeiss, who's one of the most compassionate, student-driven special education teachers I've ever met. Together, the 3 of us facilitate a rigorous course that's been created by Harvard professor Eliza New, facilitated by Arizona State University. This Harvard course is then synthesized and scaffolded by the 3 co-teachers in the classroom to be taught to our students who then submit their work to Harvard Fellows to be graded, critiqued, and finally sent back to our students via an online discussion board platform. This sounds difficult because it is. This is not your run-of-the-mill English course. This is a course that tests the knowledge of our students on a topic that isn't for everyone, poetry. Despite the difficult nature of the course, we 3 co-teachers strive to ensure that this course can be taken by any individual in our school, regardless of classification, gender, or race. We ensure that all parties, English as new language, special education, and general education students are given the opportunity to take this course. In taking this course 3 years ago, taking on this course 3 years ago, we didn't know what we were going to be getting ourselves into, but we were amazed at the abilities of our students, as the following data will show. Year 1, 2020, 2021, during a pandemic, virtually, these kids met with us every single day on Teams. 16 total. We had 3 special education students, 5 English as a new language students, and 8 general education students with an 88% pass rate. 56 of that 88% earned college credit with an average of 70% or higher. 33% of those who earned college credit did so in the top 20% of the nation, and one of those went on to earn a writing award from Duval College. This is only year 1, people. 66% of special education students enrolled earned college credit, and an 80% passing rate of ENL students, with 60% of those earning college credit. Year 2, we had 9 total, 4 ENL and 5 Gen Ed, 100% pass rate, 100% earning college credit, and 11% of them scoring in the top 10% in the nation, and 100% pass rate of our ENL students. Which brings us to this year. 16 total students, 3 English as a new language, 2 special education, and 11 general education students with a 100% pass rate, 94% gaining college credit, 100% pass rate of ENL students with a 100% college credit rate of ENL students, a 100% passing rate of special education students with 50% earning college credit, and 38% scoring in the top 20 of the nation, breaking down to 1 in the top 20%, 1 in the top 10%, and 4 in the top 5% of thousands of students who took this across the nation. So, to close, we have a motto at MST. Whatever you do, let it be done well. Our students that have taken this course exemplify this motto, and we couldn't be more proud of their accomplishments. It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, MST Senior Class Council President, Ashfa Mohammed Akram.
Thank you so much, Mr. P. Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Ashra Mohammed Akram, and I had the amazing opportunity to partake in this course at my high school. So from a student's point of view, Poetry in America was extremely difficult, yet it was even more rewarding. My peers and I had to decipher poetry dating back to centuries ago using a variety of advanced level techniques, and we also had to meet hard, strict deadlines. Throughout this course, we had to perfect our time management skills, and we also had to comprehend poetry to varying degrees. However, I don't regret this course at all. I think I can speak for all my peers when I say that this course has allowed us to gain new understanding and knowledge of literature, and to also further strengthen our analytical and critical thinking abilities. I think that we are all more prepared than ever before, because this course has allowed us to gain the skills that we need to succeed not only in college but beyond. And for that, I'm so thankful for our amazing principal, Ms. Womack, the amazing administration team, and my teachers, Ms. Kraska, Mr. P, and Ms. Zeiss, as well as all my peers for providing us with this opportunity. I'm also very thankful for my family for supporting us, for supporting me through this and encouraging me. With that being said, I hope that our accomplishments will continue to inspire and make people more aware, other students, make them more aware of this opportunity and make them step out of their comfort zone and partake in classes like Poetry in America and become the best version of themselves that they can be. Thank you so much.
Okay, I want to close. I'm going to go off script a little bit. I love my school, I love my students, and I love my faculty. Do you see why? Aren't they amazing? And so let me close. In closing, I want to thank Dr. Williams, our superintendent, for creating an educational landscape here in Buffalo that focuses on equity, access, and opportunity. I would also like to thank President Belton Cotman for expecting excellence at MST High School with a mantra of no excuses. She made that very clear. No excuses, Ms. Womack. Next, I would like to thank ASL Watson. I really need to thank ASL Watson in a public format because she has given me and my staff and my school unwavering support. She provides us with exemplar examples. She conferences with me. She will answer phone calls, sometimes really late at night. She's getting a phone call right now from a principal. But ASL Watson is what support looks like. And because of that support, I'm able to do what I do for my teachers and my staff, and I thank her. And I'm going to lead, last but not least, I have to shout out Dr. Kelly Baudo. Dr. Kelly Baudo came over to MST and really talked with my staff and really talked with my students about what is this course, what is it aligned to, what are you doing. We went through the curriculum, we talked about it, and she made it possible. Chief Botticelli, I think she's here, she met with and it really turned into a really nice conversation about equity, access, and opportunity. And now close. Thank you.
We could all go home now. I mean, we could. But, I'd like for us to take a picture, Principal Womack, if possible, with your staff and the students. Yeah, please.
Um, I want Sanjita Jui, top 20% in all students taking this course in the country. Can you please stand? Renoma Ali, top 10% of all students in the country taking the course. Jadon Ansalt, top 5% of all students in the country taking the course. Ashfa Muhammad Akram, top 5% of all students in the country taking the course. MD Sakau, top 5% of all students in the country taking the course. And Sabrina Sultana, top 5%.
We need the teachers also, and you'll notice I'm wearing my very beautiful Math Science Technology sweatshirt real proudly tonight. Very proudly. Thank you so much, MST team. We've got a couple more recognitions, but this is an example from School 3 and from MST that you're seeing tonight. Something is taking storm in the city of Buffalo. We are moving to the next level, and we will continue to showcase what our children, what our principals, what our teachers, what our district level staff can and are doing. So now I'd like to extend a public verbal congratulations to the Office of Cultural and Linguistically Responsive Initiatives, as they have earned a National School Board Association 2023 Magna Award Grand Prize for districts with an enrollment of over 20,000 students, and for their development and implementation of the Our Story project, which encourages students to expand their public speaking, writing, and visual and performing arts skills as a means to demonstrate their learning and advocacy for addressing issues. As a grand prize winner, our district will be featured in the April issue of the American School Board Journal and at the NSBA Annual Conference in April 2023. Thank you, Dr. Morale, for leading this work. Please. She didn't know I was doing this, but we want to get a picture, and would you like to share a few words? It's now that I put you on the spot.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Williams, and esteemed board members. This is truly an honor to be honored in this way. Um, the National School Boards Association Award is a district award, and it is because of the tremendous support of our Board of Education, our superintendent, our cabinet leaders, and the awesome work of the scholars and their parents that make the program be a national exemplar for other districts to follow. And so with that being, our great teachers, our amazing teachers that are leading the kids. And so with that being stated, I would just like to say thank you for continuing to allow me to do the work that I do. Dr. Williams, thanks for your unwavering support. And I'll let the kids know that they were honored tonight. Thank you.
Couple more. I'm sorry. We got good things happening. So I asked our chief of school leadership to identify, because we want to start honoring, principals and teachers in buildings, because oftentimes it can get lonely, and it can feel like, you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're working super hard. Sometimes you don't know if people appreciate what you do, but I'm really interested, and I really want to know when good things are happening. And so tonight, we're going to, for a principal recognition, recognize Mr. Vincent Vanderlip, who leads Hillary Park Elementary School number 27. Our strategic plan speaks to excellence in every classroom, every day. Let us recognize Principal Vanderlip for establishing systems in his school that really exemplify that. His teachers have data meetings with, not for, with their students to establish goals, to progress monitor as they work to achieve their benchmarks. This allows his students to be more accountable for their successes. He does a lot of work to ensure that all of his children know and feel that they are welcomed and that they belong at Hillary Park. His suspensions, very, very minimal. And this is due to his students knowing that there are clear and consistent consequences and expectations with no excuses, to the work that happens in his building with respect to restorative practices. He works very hard to involve community resources, and he works tirelessly with his parent populations. His attendance during a time when many are struggling with attendance is consistently above 86%. That's huge. He also has that's not easy. He also has a very active parent engagement liaison member, a PEL, and every single day at Hillary Park, they celebrate the brilliance and diversity of all of his students and staff, which support the Buffalo Public Schools vision. Mr. Vanderlip, please come forward along with your Associate of School Leadership, Ms. Karen Murray. Please share it with your staff, and if you'd like to say a few words.
First of all, I humbly accept this on behalf of the school community, that it's made up of hundreds of people that are doing incredible work every day. You mentioned before when we're talking about this beautiful school, from the custodians to the lunch monitors, right up to my office. And, it takes a complete village to do the work that we do. And I'm also thrilled that Dr. Morell's here, because you mentioned the suspension rate, and from the day that we started looking at disproportionality, it's really been a mindset change, and the level of excellence that we're trying to achieve can't happen when students are not in school. So we need to go further than their behavior and look into the heart and the root cause of the matter. And I thank the board for being generous in providing the support teams that we need, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And our teaching staff giving up lunches and giving up prep time so they can be with students and talk to students and really make those connections. That's why they love to come. I humbly say that Hillary Park is the center of South Buffalo and the center of all of Buffalo and the heart of this beautiful city. The heart of this beautiful city. And to you, Dr. Williams, for what was said before about setting a landscape, but also setting a model of excellence. And for President Cotman, our Hillary Park Elementary, everyone achieves, no exceptions, no excuses. It's set every day, and we try to live it every day. So again, and this is on behalf of the staff and the school community that is Hillary Park Elementary. Thank you.
Couple more. I'm now going to spotlight two teachers, because our teachers are really on the front line of helping us to get everything achieved that we've identified in our strategic plan. In no order of preference, I would like to ask Ms. Heather Kaiser, who's a kindergarten 811 teacher at our Mikowski School, to please come forward. Is she here? She has been with the district for 13 years, and I just learned she's a new mom to Maddie J., who is 9 months old. Her principal shares that her love of teaching is infectious. There is never a dull moment in her classroom as she dresses up in glam and glitter costumes for holidays and events. She makes learning fun and has a way of immersing her students in lessons, so much so that they don't even realize often that they are learning at high levels. Her students and parents love her, and she has proven herself to be a true asset to the learning community at Makowski. I'd also like to ask if Ms. Heidi Barra, Berea, Ms. Heidi Berea, who's a kindergarten teacher at Lorraine Academy School, number 72. I see that her principal is here, Mr. Banks. She is described as an instructional leader in both ELA and math. The growth in her classroom is amongst the highest in the entire school. She teaches explicitly and fills the entire day with many exciting learning experiences for her students. And this is what I got excited about. I'm pleased to share that she has led moving her students academically from average to well above average in growth on their middle of the year assessments. So from where they were at the beginning of year to the middle of year, the growth that she has initiated with her students is exemplary. I can hardly wait to see how they're going to score on their end of the year assessments. I still got you beat. She says she just started her 30th year in the district. Oh, well, we might be neck and neck. 35 total, but 30th in the district. We certainly appreciate the work that both you and Ms. Kaiser are doing in your classrooms for our children. I'd like to ask the principals. Is the principal from Makowski here? I can't see. Not? Okay. To come up so that we can get a photo and memorialize this. And then we got one more real special award.
I had the privilege of reading Read Across America in this building, but I came on the wrong day. I came on the day before, and no one was expecting me. And that's when you can see what's really going on. This is a positive environment, and it is a fertile soil that our children are in this building with this Principal Banks and his team. And they didn't know I was there, and trust me, I don't know what he does, but he has control of those special needs children, and they love him. Believe that. They love him. So I just wanted to throw that in there because oftentimes, the leader doesn't get the credit, but he makes sure the environment is there. And those children all ran up to him and loved him, all of them. And they say such positive things to each other. So he really is doing some best practices in this building, and I really would appreciate if we start modeling more of them. Thank you.
30 years. What do I have to say?
Thank you very much. I found out at like 1 o'clock today and was pleasantly surprised. I didn't know stuff like this was happening. So thank you.
Thank you. I would like to accept this award on behalf of my students' hard work and my assistant, Christine Coleman. I could not do it without her. She's the best, so that's all I've got to say here. I know I was talking to you.
And for our final recognition, I apologize, board members. They didn't know they would be standing this long. But I'd like to ask our Chief of Operations, David Hills, to come forward. Because we've got a real special award here for a real special person that I've known for a long time. When you've been around for 30-something years, you just kind of know everybody. And I've known Mrs. Bridget O'Brien Wood for quite some time. And her work has always been exemplary. It's hard work. And during COVID, now I'm going off script, I'm probably going to get all tied up, but during COVID, when most of us were home trying to stay safe, Miss O'Brien Wood's staff and her were right out on the front lines making sure that our children and families, not only in Buffalo Public Schools, because we care about the community, were able to get food. They were delivering food. I mean, it was really quite something to see. So, I get a little choked up on this one, but, I just want to say that, her name and the work that she has done over the years were submitted, and I certainly was happy to endorse it to the governor's office in New York State, for the National Department of Education's recognizing inspiring school employees. I did not want to get that wrong. It's the RISE Award, and it's extremely competitive to get. And she got it. She got it. And I just want to ask Mr. Hills, let's see here, because I got a lot of stuff written up. Do you have her write up, David? I want to, okay, perfect. I don't want to miss anything. Yeah, she's very deserving.
So the nomination from the RISE Award, besides being endorsed by the superintendent, her staff made sure the application was prepared and New York State sent to the Department of Education. It was an honor to be nominated. The award was awarded to another state, but we are proud of that work. And our director of child and family, our child nutrition, has worked tirelessly to make sure that our families have access to nutritional meals. And her leadership, not only serving the community during the pandemic, but in creating programming that is inclusive and supportive. She designed recently a training for her staff, 10 things to know about people with disabilities. And she made sure that her staff was prepared to be in the best position to serve all of our students. And that attitude, that approach, is what has made our child nutrition program a true family meal. She's created a place, and I have not ever known anyone that is as strong an advocate for her staff and supportive of her staff and supportive of her mission. And she's also led the process of designing a new commissary, which is going to be a signature presence for the Buffalo Public Schools for the next generation of food service. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have a great mom. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, Bridget, I've heard that the president has spoken, and she said that this award negates retirement. So you can't go. Can't go. You got to stay.
This is amazing, and it's definitely an honor. And I did not think that I would get this emotional about it myself, but I'm just one person of a big community that loves and supports our students and their families. And I'm just one of them. And I have been blessed to have a career in a community that I love even more. And I really accept this on the behalf of all of us that are out there doing the good work that we do. it's our job, right? And so I really wouldn't be here without everyone of you and all the people that work in the food service and all of the partners that we have within the district and outside the district. So really, this is a community award nomination. We didn't get it. I'm a big loser, but I'll take this. So thank you, thank you.
I'm coming to stand by Bridget because I have to with this one.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't stand by MST, but I'm standing by this one.
Well, you guys were with me and right by me in COVID and still are. So I appreciate it. And our schools appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Didn't you do over 1 million meals?
Yeah, yeah. And I have to thank all these people here. They grew up in the city of Buffalo, coming to all of the events that we ever had. And so they're ready for me to, you know,
Who do we have?
this is my husband, Tom.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hi.
Who are you?
Ellen.
Hi, I'm Liam.
I'm Maddie.
Danny.
This is her village, okay? And we are all. Well, we're cloning her. Okay, she gets cloned. She doesn't retire. She gets cloned. Oh, so go ahead. But, I do want to do a point of order, board, my apologies. I want, for the record to reflect that prior to the meeting starting, we went into executive session for the purpose to discuss collective negotiations with the Buffalo Teachers Federation, and no action was taken. That should have been at the beginning of the meeting, but we wanted to make sure that we get it straight. So now you can turn it back over, Superintendent.
You all know you never take over from Board President Cotman. I don't know why you said that. But, you know, it's time for me to give my report, and I am going to allocate my time to Mr. Nate Kuzma, who is our Chief Legal Counsel, and he will be sharing an update on where we are with negotiations. And as he's getting ready to come forward, I'd just like to share. As I've always said, this board and our district, including myself, values, respects, and appreciates the work of our teachers, every single one of the 3,677 teachers who we employ. We care about them, and we care about their families, which I believe we have articulated and demonstrated since I've been sitting in this seat and prior to me sitting in this seat. We not only care about these 3,677 teachers who we employ now, but we care about the ones who will be joining us in the near future, July 2023, those who we're looking to hire, July 2024, and those who we are looking to hire in July 2025 and beyond. Our team has worked very, very hard with the Buffalo Teachers Federation. Um, our team has consisted on the Buffalo Public School side of Chief Financial Officer James Barnes, if he could stand. Our Chief of Human Resources, Mrs. Tammy Holly McGee. Myself, and our Chief Legal Counsel, Nate Kuzma. We hope to continue discussions because I have to believe that both sides are committed to getting the ink signed on a fair and equitable contract. I hope that we all keep those two words in mind as you listen to the presentation from Mr. Kuzma, fair and equitable. I will now turn things over to Mr. Kuzma to share a brief update on where we are.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Can everybody hear me okay? Microphone working? Thank you, board members, for having me this evening, allowing me to present, the opportunity to present, members of the public. Certainly difficult to follow the recognitions and the presentations. And so, nothing like a BTF negotiation update to keep the mood high, right? But in any event, it's necessary work and it's important work. And amongst, our top priorities, as we've stated, over the course of the past year is to deliver a contract, to all of our bargaining units, which we've done in 10 out of 11, but to cross the finish line on this last one. And, as I've repeatedly stated, the district does not view negotiations as an us versus them. This is not combat. We're on the same team. As we've heard tonight, in the recognition of our principals, of our teachers, of our food service workers, of our aides and assistants, we are all part of one community. We all live in this community. Our children may go to the schools and be taught by teachers. Our grandchildren, may go to the schools and be taught by teachers and are a part of this community. This is important for all of us, and we've approached, this negotiation in that fashion, to be fair, to provide meaningful compensation increases to our teachers. But, we have to balance that on what the interests, of the district are at the time and reach a fair compromise on those issues. And we've been transparent all along on what our stated priorities are and what they continue to be. And that hasn't changed. And so I wanted to start with that because, we are at impasse, and we're still at impasse. And as of today, I don't know where this is going to go next. We were optimistic that this was going to get done this week. It's not. And that's disappointing. And I'm sure it's disappointing for our teachers. And that will form the foundation of my presentation in hopes that as we continue forward, we can get this done in the near future. We're not that far off. But as they sort of say, so close yet so far away. So we shall see. Admir, if you could go to the next slide, please. So as you know, everybody knows that's been following this at all, that, about a month and a half ago, we received a report and recommendations from a neutral PERB, Public Employment Relations Board mediator or fact finder. After about a 7-month process of submitting evidence and documents, to this individual who rendered a decision. But as we know, that does not end the process, right? It takes the parties to come together, continue negotiations, and reach a settlement. And the fact finder's report is instructive, but no way, shape, or form is it binding, on the parties. The BTF, almost within a day after receiving the fact finder's report, rejected it. Took a vote, of its teachers. I think that came back 66%. No, 30% yes. But it was about 1,200 teachers that had voted out of the 3,600, so it was only about a third. So it wasn't terribly instructive, you know, on what the real concerns were with the fact finders report. But, you know, we listen. You know, we've met at the table since that point in time with the Federation on about 6 occasions. I think it was February 9th, the 14th, the 24th, and then March 1, 7, 13, and 14 to continue negotiations. And we've, you know, we learned a lot, you know, through those discussions. Progress has been made. You know, I think, you know, both the Federation and the district would attest to that. And we listened to what the concerns were with the fact finders report. And a couple of the primary concerns were, one, the fact finders report did not include any compression of steps. You know, the teachers have consistently said we have a very long salary schedule, and, you know, we would like that to be more in line with the salary schedules of the surrounding suburbs, which I think on average have about 23 steps. Teachers were also concerned about paying a percentage towards their health care. You know, right now they pay a flat dollar amount, and the fact finder had recommended a percentage. The teachers were concerned about that for a number of different reasons, and wanted to stay with the flat dollar amount contribution towards health insurance. These concerns were addressed during our last 7 negotiation sessions, and, you know, as late as yesterday, we're continuing to work on it to the point where I think we're about where we need, you know, we've reached agreement on all of those, you know, primary issues. And, you know, the district was committed to its 4 stated priorities: providing fair, reasonable compensation and salaries to its teachers, you know, right-sizing our health insurance contributions and addressing the retiree health insurance for future hires. The hiring of athletic coaches to make sure that, you know, we have a process in place where we can hire the most qualified and the best coach possible, you know, for our young people to receive athletic instruction from. And then, of course, lastly is the you know, the adjustment of the ability to change the starting and the ending times of the school day and have more flexibility, so we could develop a broader bus schedule, or a 3-tiered bus schedule, to accommodate and make sure that during a national transportation crisis that our students can get to and from school on time, but also participate in the array of activities that we offer after school, such as athletics and after school programming. So, you know, the district has approached this, and you know, the understanding this week and the messaging was, well, we're going to get this done before, you know, and we're not, and I'm going to give you our perspective as to why that is, and sort of where we're going to go from here. So if you go to next slide, please, Admir. So the district's proposal on wages, in many ways, and these are significant wage increases, but they take place on ratification. There's no retroactivity that's being proposed, and there was no retroactivity that was proposed by the fact finder. Okay, and we're not going down that road. But what that means is that every day that goes by, it is money that teachers aren't receiving that they could be receiving. And those increases include an 8% effective immediately, followed by a 6%, a 4%, and a 3%, for 21% over the remaining term of the contract. Admittedly, this is 21%. It's over a 7-year period of time, but the teachers will receive the lump of that over the next 3 years. It also includes something in the next column that you will see, even though it wasn't recommended by the fact finder. The district did propose the removal of 3 steps on the salary table, which would bring our salary schedule from a 20, it's really 26, because teachers start on step 2 when they come in, bringing it from 26 to 23, which brings our district in line with where the suburban districts are. We didn't have to do that, but we felt it was the right thing to do to give us the competitive edge that we need. Not only one, to retain our current teachers. This is not a contract that's intended to force folks to retire. We don't want that. Okay, we want to keep the great teachers that we have. We want to hire great teachers to replace the ones that do retire. or go elsewhere for some other reason. But that includes a 3-step removal, which was not included, and it also includes a bonus, which was 8% that was recommended by the fact finder on current salary. We have proposed a 10% bonus on new salary after the ratification, okay, in an effort to try to get this done. This increased, certainly, the total cost of the contract from about $200 million to about $225. Okay, don't throw things at me, board, because I got to balance this too, and that's the tough part. We're trying to make the teachers happy, but have also am responsible to a board. And I understand that I may have stretched the limits with this a little bit, but you know, we are approaching this with the effort of trying to get the deal done, right? It's that important to us to do this and get this completed. Next slide, please. So if you look at just the 6 month, and I did this, you know, about a month ago the last time, but I put in a different example because I got some feedback that I should include someone earlier on in the career, you know, to sort of show the benefit of what this is just over the next 6 months. So you look at a teacher that's at step 4, relatively new teacher with a master's degree. Their current salary is $48,623. Immediately upon ratification, they get a bonus, you know, not immediately, within 60 days of ratification, they will get a bonus of $5,251. Their increase in salary would bring their salary to $52,513. That's their new salary day one. They get an increase of that $3,890. They get an increase of $3,890, and they get the one-time bonus of $5,251. 3 months now later, because we're almost at April, May, June, July 1, they get another 6%, which is a $5,305 raise. And if they work the summer school, and they can work 1/200th during our 5-week program, they would earn an additional $1,149. So just over the 6 months, the next 6 months, you know, and this does not include other compensation that would also be increased, like the hourly pay, you know, for after-school programming, the stipends for coaches, you know, and other opportunities that our teachers have to work. This does not include any of that, but those things would increase as well. We're just looking at base salary right here. That would go up over $9,000 just in the course of the next 6 months. Their summer pay would be another $1,000, over $1,000 additional, and their bonus would be $5,251 for a net benefit of $15,514 for this teacher that's very early on in their career, just over the course of the next 6 months. Now you look at the teacher that's later on in their career, which there are hundreds of these in this general scope. And we looked at step 22 with masters plus 30. Their signing bonus would be $9,395. Their salary would increase upon signing to $93,950. That is an increase of almost $7,000, $6,959. 3 months later, they get another increase of $9,949. Now, the reason for that is it's 6%, but you get your step. There's also a step removed. You go another step. So this teacher is getting the double impact of having that. They're getting their step, but the step is also being removed. They will go down another step, okay, to have a total impact on July 1 of an additional $9,946 added to their salary. They could earn over the summer over another $2,000 on top of what they would already earn if they participate in the summer program. The total economic benefit for that teacher just over the next 6 months period of time is $28,413. That doesn't include the next year, which would be a 4% increase, the next year, which would be a 3% increase, the removal of 2 other steps during that period of time, This contract has real impact on real people, on real lives, and it needs to get done. This is the extent of what we can do responsibly. Next slide, please. Now, the district proposal on health insurance. As I've indicated, we have modified that to a flat dollar amount. Teachers right now contribute either $600 or $1,500 for a single plan or a family plan, depending on where they are. This elevates it over the term of the contract to be $950 at the end. And for a single plan, $2,050 for a family plan, which is in the ballpark of 10–11% currently. It will probably be a little less 3 years from now, but who knows? We do not know that for sure. But compared to the raises that the teachers are going to be getting in the contract, this is a nominal increase comparatively. Like I said last time, the scales of raises versus what we're asking teachers to contribute is significantly outweighed, by our proposal. Next slide, please, Admir. So the facts of where we are in terms of our proposal right now, just some big numbers for you to consider that are important. We look at average salary, and what our current average salary is, and we're doing all these comparisons with our regional counterparts in the Big Five. Where are we comparatively, as we're trying to find competitive advantage for teachers these days? This raises our average salary over the term of the contract, board members, from $72,000 a year to $91,216. That's significant. It includes a flat dollar amount contribution toward health insurance. It reduces the number of salary steps to 23, so our teachers get to their top step sooner. This proposal, when we talk about, the state is fully funding foundation aid. All right, we are expecting an additional $70 million next year in foundation aid. $50 million of that is an investment into our teachers. That is a very large portion of the extra money that we're getting. Yes, we have to run a district for our students, significant portion of that. And I think it's 53 million. Somebody will tell me that in a little bit, but approximately 50 million of the 70 is committed to this investment. Total cost of the contract over the term is $227 million. Teachers are harmed every day that goes by where there is no contract. We're not going back. We are looking forward. And if we get to the July 1, 2023 mark, everything rolls over another year. And we put in here there always is uncertainty, right? And I don't mean that as a scare tactic, but if we've learned anything, pandemics exist, right? Earthquakes exist. Big things happen that can create circumstances that change your outlook on what you may want to do moving forward. And when you've got a deal like this in front of you, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Because things can change, as we have learned. Circumstances change, financial conditions change. The state could run into trouble, take money away from next year's foundation aid for an event that happens unbeknownst to us. And our outlook may change. And I want to say that, in addition to this, if you look at the comparisons, this makes the Buffalo City School District one of the most highly compensated places to work in Western New York if you're going to be a teacher. You can look at Kenton, you can look at Williamsville, you can look at Lackawanna, you can look at Akron, you can look at any of them. The adjustments that we've now made to our proposal put us in the upper echelon. And I'm proud to say that. That's where we want to be. We want people to come to Buffalo and be teachers. And that's the investment that we're making. I've had people come up to me and see this and they say, I want to be a teacher. Good. That's exactly what we want to hear. That's exactly what we want people to say. I want to be a teacher and I want to be a teacher in Buffalo. Okay? And we're not taking anything other than increases in health insurance contributions. There is nothing else in our proposal that would financially negatively impact our current teachers, period. Period. Next slide, please. Now, where we've run into difficulty yesterday was on our proposal regarding retiree health insurance. And we're proposing, after several rounds, that retiree health insurance be eliminated for new hires after the date of January 1, 2026. It's 2 years and 4 months from now. You know, because we understand phasing this out, and it could be utilized as a recruitment tool over the next 2 years. I'm sure Ms. Holly McGee would highlight that as part of her recruitment efforts to get teachers in the door. And quite honestly, from a personal perspective, I respect and admire, you know, Mr. Ramore's commitment to, you know, wanting to preserve this benefit. It certainly is a valuable one. But as we look around at the comparables, regionally, statewide, this is not a benefit that anybody provides. And when you want to compare yourselves with the suburbs, and you want what they have in terms of pay, which we're delivering, you can't maintain the same level of benefits, such as a retiree health insurance benefit that you've had before. And so, you know, we have proposed, and we understand, we could have went to the table and said, hey, look, we're proposing taking this from everybody starting a year or two from now, and that's our demand. We respected our teachers enough and understood how difficult it would be to get that passed, that wasn't a good place to start if you're trying to get a contract done. You know, so we're starting now, and we're starting to look 25, 30 years down the road to ensure that we can properly plan, settle other contracts over the course of the coming decades, and have the financial resources available to us to do that. The unions talk all the time about equity and solidarity. All 6 of our other unions that had this benefit have agreed to give it up for new hires. And they understood that when they came to the table, that was a compromise that they were going to have to make if they wanted those substantial salary increases that this board ultimately delivered to them. They're team players, and they did it. And they understood that was something that we would have to do moving forward in the future. And it's only fair, certainly, that our teachers would understand and respect that. You know, I've heard the argument that, well, we don't want to, you know, you're not going to realize any savings for 25, 30 years, so why are you doing this now? You know, why not wait until the next time that you negotiate the contract? Well, we've got to start somewhere, and the time is now to do that. You know, that's why this is a priority. The board said it's something we've done with 6 other unions. You know, and for good reason. It's not a benefit that anybody else, you know, is providing to their teachers. I've also heard the argument, well, it splits the union because you have some members that get something and you have other members then that won't get it. We haven't had a problem with that with the BCSA. We haven't had a problem with that with the with PEPTA. We haven't had a problem with that with Locals 264. We haven't had a problem with that with Local 409. You know, and by the way, you know, when it comes to teachers doing duties, you know, the union was certainly fine with teachers at City Honors not having to do them while teachers throughout the rest of the district have to. You know, it's the same sort of logic and argument, and it's ridiculous. Now, the BTF has said in regard to this issue that they won't agree to it, period. The end. And, at that point, we're not in a position where we're going to be able to make a deal. We are at the end. Okay, we've done what we can do. This is the best we can do. This is our best and final offer. If you want to come back to the table and have a conversation about how we can wrap this up, we are happy to do it. But at this point, given that that line has been drawn in the sand, we're not going to be reaching a settlement anytime soon if that's the case. Next page, please. On Monday, as I said, the parties met. We were really working to try to get this done. We ran into the one hiccup, on retiree health care. We've made substantial increases in our proposal to the teachers. We've listened to their feedback from the fact finders report. We didn't shove it down their throats. Okay, we could have held firm right on that. We want to get this done, and we listened and made adjustments because we want our teachers to be happy. And we listened to where their primary concerns were. Steps, flat dollar amount for health insurance. We met them head on there. Our package is premised, this investment that we're making, it was premised on us eliminating this benefit for new hires. And if that's not something we're going to agree to, at some point we're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how that factors in to how we move forward. There are no future negotiation dates that have been set. Don't know when they will be. If they are, we certainly will sit down and listen and see where we go from here. But at this point, we are at impasse over this one remaining issue, and I'm here to say that we're not going to back down. Okay, with that, I will open it up for any questions.
Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Kuzma?
So as a board, I think it's really clear, and we've been making those signals over and over again, that equity and student-centered, putting our resources where it's going to benefit our students are the highest priorities for us. And that includes supporting our teachers. How would settling this contract help us to achieve our goals? We are about equity, opportunity, and access. And what we would like to know, I think I can speak for a lot of my colleagues on the board, what we would like to know is how does this help us achieve our goals?
Well, I think generally, working in an organized labor environment, when you have a group, whatever group it is, that's out of contract, that bleeds into those individuals' day-to-day lives. And I think that resolving that certainly will improve morale, show teachers, and be a true demonstration to them of how much we value them. It's one thing to say it, it's another to show it and to do, which I think, that's why we're here being transparent, because we want to show teachers that we do care and we're trying to get this over the finish line. It helps with recruitment and retention. There are certainly hard to fill areas that we have. Ms. Holly McGee would know them off the top of her head better than me, but ENL teachers, for example, which are truly in high demand for us right now. We can't find enough of them. Math teachers, science teachers. Those are the folks that we're competing with the surrounding suburbs to try to get. They're hard to get, and it will help. This contract will help with recruitment, with retention, and with morale of folks, I think, more than anything else. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I do have one quick follow-up question, and then I'll pass it over to my colleagues on the board. Is there any way in which, by offering this contract, which shows how important teachers are, as you just demonstrated for us, is there any way in which this would affect our ability to resource our classrooms and our textbooks and some of the other things that we really need to do in order to support our student success?
Yeah, I mean, we're making a $225 million investment into people. And, you know, we have never, we're well financed right now. Kudos to our finance department. They do an extremely good job doing what they're supposed to do. And so we can make these type of investments. But like any major investment, once you make it, it inhibits your ability to do something else. Now, I'm not saying that there's not basic needs that we're not going to be able to meet, okay? But it limits certainly our ability to expand and maybe do some other things that we may want to try. We're going to have to tighten our belts, and we're going to have to grow into this contract and be very careful about how we spend our money.
But it's the belief and the recommendation of the district that this is a worthwhile investment in our future as a district.
I believe it is.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, we are in the midst of a teacher shortage nationally. You know, we are competing, you know, for every teacher that we get.
Nate, did I hear you correctly? For 10, 15 years, everybody has gone to our legislatures and fought for full funding of foundation aid. We've been fighting for these dollars, and I think I heard you say that we won the battle and we got $69.7 million this year. That's what we got as an increase in foundation aid. And you're telling me that you gave 53 million of that? 78% of everything we fought for all these years, you gave that to the teachers? And you can't get you haven't been able to get a deal?
That's correct.
What's left for us to run a school district with 10 other contracts, and then you give us this report and you telling me that the sticking point is that we have a $60 million boulder hanging on our necks. It's called retiree health, an annual expense that does not make this district long-term viable. And you telling me that you can give these kind of raises? I'm looking at it as 32% just on the 6 months you're giving me. And you're telling me that we can't get cooperation to take a $60 million annual boulder off our neck, and it doesn't affect not one current teacher? Is that what I just hear you say?
Ms. Woods?
Unbelievable.
Ms. Woods?
Mr. Kuzma, thank you for the presentation. So just to recap, we received the fact finder report, which was done by a neutral third party picked by the district and BTF. And for the most part, it was favorable toward the proposals that were being made at that time. Since then, we've learned that the bonus has increased from 8% to 10%. And 3 steps have been eliminated, which is significant from what the fact finder report determined. And you kind of gave us a breakdown similar to what you did the last time you presented to us on a teacher on step 4 and teacher on step 22. The fact finder's report at the time kind of compared salaries to some local school districts. And for the most part, the proposal before these updates was competitive.
That's right.
With those districts. Towards the end, it was less competitive, in particular Williamsville, but it was still fairly competitive. I just looked at what you presented to us, and there was a teacher on step 4, you mentioned that the salary starting next year would be $57,818.
That's right.
If a teacher for next year on step 4 in Kenton would make $49,681, which is a difference of $6,137. For the step 22, it is now, would be a salary of $103,896. In Kenton on a step 22, it would be $99,593, which is a difference of $4,303. I've heard loud and clear from many teachers, and rightfully so, that they're underpaid in Buffalo. And they absolutely are. Nobody is denying that. And that they deserve to be, at the very least, comparatively paid to what our suburban teachers are paid. This does that and goes beyond from what I'm seeing here. And they absolutely deserve every single penny of it, in my opinion. The teachers that have taught both of my sons from pre-K on up to 4th grade and 7th grade, unbelievable professionals, the best teachers, I'm biased, but the best teachers you could ask for. And they deserve to be fairly compensated. And if this continues to prolong, I will be further disappointed if we end this school year without them being adequately compensated for and getting what they deserve. And this is so, so important, especially in this time, because I hear it. I've heard it, and it's warranted that we're losing teachers, good teachers, and we need to do something significant about that to keep the best and attract the best, especially at this time. I think my only question for you is if you could just, you talked about retiree healthcare, just give more specifics if you can on what retiree healthcare is like in the surrounding districts in Western New York, what they get.
They don't get it. I'm familiar with the number of people in Western New York. We get the BoCE's data, from them, and they do not get that benefit. Usually teachers in other districts, what will happen is they will get either for each year of service, they will get a certain amount of money that they can then use to purchase health insurance in retirement, or oftentimes teachers, Williamsville, for example, they sell back their sick time at the end of their career and use that money towards health insurance until it runs out, and then they're on their own. Or they may get an early retirement incentive depending on the age, and that can be used for retirement or health insurance in retirement. But no district in Western New York is providing that benefit at the level that we are. And we can't sustain both things, right? We want to have the competitive salaries. We understand the importance of that. And I think, looking at the comparables, we were oftentimes competitive through the first half of a teacher's career. It was that back half where we would sort of tail off a little bit and become less competitive. We've now addressed that by removing the 3 steps, but we can't do both things. And we have to have some certainty in the future that, as other districts settle contracts and become more competitive and are chasing us a little bit, that we can continue to raise those salaries. And the way that we do it is by having some certainty that this very expensive, which is almost 7-8% of your annual budget, is going down, so that we can continue to settle contracts and grow into it. And our other unions have recognized that. So I hope the Federation does as well.
Well, thank you. And I just want to let's close with, I'm encouraged that we're sitting down, we're talking, we're making real progress here. We're making real progress. And I remain hopeful that we can get this done very soon.
Yes, thank you. First, I'd just like to start by saying that this board has been very hard on Mr. Kuzma, and hearing reports back about the contract. One of the things that this board moved forward with, and the reason why we're here today, is because we wanted a superintendent that was going to sit in board meetings and work towards getting this teacher contract settled. Another thing is, that Mr. Byron stepped in and came to negotiations, and also Tammy Hollis McGee, and we wanted a better outlook than what we heard so far. And I'd like to thank the superintendent and Nate and everyone else for digging through this and taking the time to meet with the union to try to get this contract resolved and to work at it. Mr. Ramore is very resilient, and we know his character, and he loves the teachers also. And we all love our teachers. And what we want is what's best for our children. We want a contract that's going to be negotiable. We want a contract that's going to show the best in our teachers, but we also want something left for our children so we can build our programs. We know that 2025, that our ESSER funds run out and our ARP funds run out. So what's left? We left on the budget that we rely on from the state of New York. So once these programs run out, how are we going to be able to support these other programs if we don't have a defined contract, that represent our children 2 or 3 years from now? I know we talk about our teachers in retirement, and we're looking at 30 years down the line. But I'm looking 3 years down the line for our children, and what's going to be left to fill those gaps in the programs that we're going to lose because of the ESSER funds that runs out. All our mental health agents and also all our after-school programs, our summer programs, which we plan on, and the modified sports program. So I'll take all these things into factor. Now, just correct me. So right now, our contract pays. We're second to Lackawanna right now in starting salary in the region. Well, if this proposal were to be implemented, I think that would be second to Lackawanna. As a starting salary. Yeah. But we have a better salary than Williamsville does right now. Starting, yeah. Starting If salary. under this proposal. Under this proposal. Yeah. And after 30 years, we pass Williamsville for our retirees and teachers that's over 30 years. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. This is a couple of points. The rest of the points been made earlier, but we want this contract resolved. We love our teachers, and just seeing teachers protest in March is not the message we want to give, to our children, to our district, and especially our communities, because our communities are very upset. We receive many phone calls, as other board members receive also, about what's going on with the contract, and because they know that when teachers are upset, it goes into the classroom, and we want to try and negotiate those attitudes. We want to build a better classroom in the workforce. So I'm going to yield the floor, but thank you for the work that you're doing, and I'm asking for both sides to get to the table and get this resolved. Thank you, Mr. Hurd.
Okay, Nate, question. So when we talk about sustainability, you indicated that the retiree health insurance is one thing. We wanted, negotiations to eliminate that. And then we talk about higher salaries for teachers. Can you again indicate what school district, if any, in New York State and locally has such a lucrative retiree health insurance compared to BPS district? And I know you sort of alluded to it with board member Scott, but I just wanted to hear it again.
Not aware of any in the region. Rochester is one district, I think, that still provides it, to a certain extent. But they are few and far between that do. And there are not any in Erie County, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua County, that provide it.
Thank you. I know for sure that everybody pays into health insurance. Health insurance is going up, it's skyrocketed. And so I can't even imagine to continue with this kind of retiree health insurance and increase wages.
Yeah, we can't do both. It will not be long-term sustainable, and we have to start somewhere on the retiree health so that we can grow into the contracts that we've settled and have certainty on that issue later on down the road.
Any other board members to speak at this point?
Thanks, Nate. I echo everybody else in terms of saying how much we appreciate the hard work that you've put into it. I know this isn't easy, and I just as a refresher, because I am one of the new kids on the block, how long did the teachers go without a contract the last time?
Ooh, it was 13 years.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, there's been one this century, believe it or not.
Oh, well, that is even worse when you put it that way. So if I heard you correctly, lots of positive negotiation has happened, a lot of conversation, true essence of negotiation, right? This back and forth, the way it should be. And we have until July 1st, correct?
We don't have until then, but at that point,
As the current contract stands and what is out on the table.
That's right.
As of July 1st, if we cannot come to an agreement and no agreement is had, what happens?
Well, the 8%, the 10% bonus and the 8% roll to the next year. And the 6% moves back another year, the 4% moves back another year, the 3% moves back another year. And so you're waiting longer. You know, right now we're at a point where if we were to agree tomorrow or tonight, you know, that we were going to get this done, you know, teachers get a really quick double whammy impact because they get their bonus, they get their immediate salary increase, and then they get another salary increase as of July 1. When this July 1 comes, that all rolls back. Okay, so you're then waiting longer to get that 6% salary increase that's been negotiated.
So we're talking about a contract cost of $227 million, right? Yeah.
That's right.
We're talking about the fact that state aid, our foundation aid, 53 million of the 70 million is going into that space to our teachers. July 1st, we need to have a decision or the impact is going to hurt the teachers, right? The very people that we are having conversations about at this point. And it's come down to retirement, the healthcare, and no other meetings have been set at this point?
No.
Okay, I'm going to leave that there.
Thank you, Board Member McCool.
So I'm at a crossroads here. I'm at a crossroads because everything that's been stated just seems so matter of fact and so in your face obvious that there's people there. It's almost like roadblocks are in the way by people who are looking for, you know, for these benefits. But at the same time, being someone who is a teacher advocate, always has been a teacher advocate, and hearing and being, you know, people standoffish with me because that I'm normally in relationship with because of this. There's been circumstances where I'm like, we're the only, I've been on the board long enough to know that 2 of these contracts were settled because this board came and decided and did not allow for this to happen anymore. I need for folks to realize the work that we are putting into this and the demand that the board is putting into this to make sure that you are standing, whether you guys like each other or don't. And, you know, Phil, we go back, you know, whether you guys like each other or don't, we are making sure that this is happening. How long it takes, the levels it takes, the management styles, whatever it is, there has to be this middle ground because the people who aren't negotiating are the ones who are suffering behind this. These teachers, their families, my kids, my grandkids, because these teachers are coming into classrooms and their morale is low because we can't figure this out. So there's some matter of fact stuff that's been put on the table. There's, sticking points that I don't want to get into that have been coming to me that I have shared with you. So you know what they are, whether you address them or not. But as a board member, and I don't want to speak for the whole board, but I will speak for myself, as a parent and a grandparent, first and foremost in this district, this isn't everybody say we appreciate the teachers and blah, blah, blah. No, this is without you, my kids, who you spend just as much time with as I do, with my grandkids are learning more in the schools than they can at home at times. I need you to put pressure, like we put pressure on Nate, on your folks as well to make sure this gets done. July 1st is not super far away, but we need to all be putting pressure, not just, hey, Board of Education, put pressure on Nate because he ain't doing his job, because I'm really sick of getting those texts. I'll tell you that right now. I am tired of it because we do this. We don't announce it. I'm not out there like, hey, I put pressure on Nate. I put pressure on Tanja. We do this, or we would not be sitting at the table. And I struggled with grabbing the mic because I knew I was going to do this. Anybody who's truly my friend that are teachers, you knew this was coming from me. You respect me enough. And if you don't know who I am by now and you've been supporting me, we need to have a conversation. Because we are doing our part as a Board of Education. If you remember when I was voted in with Sharon Belton Cotman, with Paulette Woods in 2016, we worked on the contract in the first 2 months that we came on. That's how much we respect you. So please, yes, it's politically, yes, it's all of this, but everybody needs to put pressure on everybody to get this done for your benefit. We're doing this for you. I'm doing this so that you can be there for mine. So just know, from my perspective, I don't speak from the board, that enough is enough. There's a lot on the table, and I get that, and everybody's families are affected. I get that, but we're in public negotiations. Y'all realize how serious this is? We're publicly negotiating for the world to see because we can't come together. We got to get it together. That's all I got to say. I don't know if I made friends or I made everybody upset here, but I'm kind of.
Bill, you know that I've been a teacher advocate for my whole career as an administrator, but some things we just don't have. And financially speaking, it's the reality. When we talk about lifetime health insurance, was it something that was on the table and beneficial? But we have to look about what we're facing in 2023. And let's just try and get this settled. I know when I talk to a lot of teachers, I'm not feeling that a lot of teachers are really as intense about this particular issue. There were other ones that we spoke about at the board meeting and within our board that I said, I don't think this was not something that I thought was going to be what was going to hold us up. I just want, I can speak personally. I just want everyone to be treated fairly. And I think right now this is a fair deal that we can take a look at. It should be considered. So I guess I just want to recap some things to make sure I'm clear. What we have offered is a signing bonus of 10% based on the new salary after an 8% adjustment has been done, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Then in July, a couple of months from now, an additional 6%.
That's correct.
Okay. Then with your summer pay or whatever, so you get a bonus, your sinus bonus, you get a 8%, then you get 6% just this year, following which there are subsequent increases. So one thing that I've decided is I went to the wrong career. I should have become a teacher. Okay, for a lot of reasons. Well, primarily because I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner, but when I see how excited our children are about learning, and I recognize the responsibility that is attached to adults who have that responsibility, it's huge. Today, we heard conversations from people who have worked with me, and almost everyone has heard it. If you hear me speak or whatever, I always talk about no excuses. When it comes to excellence, I don't want to hear about poverty because I was poor. Many of you were poor. We still learned how to read. We still learned how to write. We still ended up saving money, buying a house, living decent. It was because of the education that we received. It's the gateway out of poverty. Recently, I talked to some children and they were giving me a bunch of excuses as to why they could not come to school on time. And I went back in my mind and I thought, that wasn't even an option when I was a kid. My mother told me it was my responsibility, that my job was to get an education, and I brought her every A I could bring her back, let the record show. I brought it to her because it made her happy, and she encouraged us because education is the key. So we recognize this as we give the lion's share. Nate caught hell behind closed doors behind this contract. We thought that we had already given a generous contract. We thought that we had given more than enough. And then he comes back and he gives another 2%, takes 3 steps away. And it wasn't pretty because ultimately we had just come from lobbying. And one of the issues with lobbying is that they feel that we have too much money at this point. And so now as we look forward to what the future is going to bear for us, it's going to require us to go back to Albany and say that the lion's share that you sent to us, we did not use in the classroom, which is what the money technically really is supposed to be used for, that we used it in negotiations that is being thrown back in our face as not good enough. That hurts. That hurts after sitting here for almost 12 years to know that when I got a raise in corporate America, I was good if I got 2.5%. I thought that was the world. But to sit here and we're talking about over a period of time upwards of 25%, 21%, I'm sorry, 21%, let me correct that. And it's still not good enough. The teachers who I have talked to, who have reached out to me, could care less about someone whose name they don't know, whose face they've never seen, and don't even know if they're ever going to be hired, about what happens to them when they retire. So there's a mismatch here somewhere. But at the end of the day, okay, if we don't close this contract, or what I'm going to say moving forward, what needs to be done for this board to understand how this money is going to be reallocated, because we need to spend this money, or because we've already earmarked it. So for the next finance and ops meeting, maybe a conversation, Madam Superintendent, needs to be what Plan B is in the event this money is not used. Because without you having another date set for negotiations, time is of the essence as far as what we can do, and we're in the budget seasoning. So if we can turn back and give each one of our principals additional money, so that, or we can buy more programs, or we can move more assets to the next level, then we need to know what Plan B looks like. Because we're not going to sit here and continue to play this game. This is the best and final offer the board has offered, and we want our teachers to get paid. I don't know one teacher making $48,000 who does not want approximately $14,000 or $15,000 this year. I don't know one of them. That's not a lot of money. Now, it might be a different person who's making close to 90,000, double almost what they're making, but that person even walks away with $27,000. So when we look at what Buffalo is trying to do and have it thrown in our face, I'm disappointed. I really am disappointed because I know how hard teachers put their efforts in. And I don't believe that the information has been given to them because I can't believe that the majority of the teachers don't want minimally $15,000 in their pocket this year. Okay, by summer, excuse me, let the record show, by summer. Okay, so with that, as a board, we have to be fiscally responsible. We need to know what Plan B looks like so that we can start with our budgeting process, start moving forward. If this is not going to happen, Nate, Bill, you guys can't make it happen, then we have to spend the money this year, okay? And we have to do it during the budget season because I would love to have more students taking AP courses. I would love some of the additional things that I want to see this district have that other districts don't have because we've been strapped for cash in the past. And I would love to see that. But that's what time it is because we're not moving to the next level until we can get this settled. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the teachers that we have to have this conversation in the public because it's not fair to them. And it's not fair to our students. It's not fair for them walking the picket line. It's not fair for them to be out in front of our schools. And technically, it's really not even necessary because what was already put on this table was sufficient enough to meet everyone's needs. And I don't think there's anyone in Western New York that does not feel that this is a decent offer, very decent. And he took the brunt for it. She got some of it too. Okay, because that's how it is. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible. So with that said, if there are no additional questions or no additional comments from the board, I think it's only fitting that we allow Mr. Rumor from the BTF to come forward and state his and talk to us and let us know what his concerns are so that the public can have a full understanding of what's going on at this point. And Mr. Rumor, I respect you because you have never, not one time that I have ever called you for anything involving kids to help them get to the next level, you have never one time said no. Never. In almost the 12 years I've been sitting here. You are an icon and you deserve to be respected. But on this issue, we just cannot agree. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cotman, Superintendent, members of the board. I'm not going to get into a lengthy debate with what Mr. Kuzma said. A couple of things I do want to bring out is, first of all, there is no disagreement on the salaries. We've agreed to the salaries. Everybody keeps talking about the salaries, the salaries, the salaries. You know, that's not all that we think that the teachers deserve because they're still behind other teachers. It takes us longer to get, even with this, it'll take us longer to get to maximum than most of the other, yes, it is. It will take us 24 years to get to maximum salary. Other districts, when we're going to knock out 3 steps, it takes us 27 years now. Well, no. It depends on when you are hired. If you are hired after you start on step 2, then it takes less. If you're hired, but we have not agreed on keeping it at step 2 yet. We have not agreed to that. Why are you shaking your head? We have not agreed to that. One of our proposals is to have everybody start at step 1. We have not made that agreement. I'm not going to get into a debate as to what we have and haven't agreed on. But the bottom line is this. It'll take us longer to get to maximum than most of the other school districts. And that can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in pay that you don't get. But we've agreed with the salary schedules. We've agreed with knocking off the 3 steps. That's what the big discussion has been about. That has cost a lot of money. That's because we are so far behind other districts. That's why it's cost a lot. But at any rate, let me just address a couple of the things. First of all, when it comes to the money that you're getting from the state, this may come as a shock to some people, but it's because of the relationship that we have with our state affiliate, the legislature, and the governor, that this whole thing about adjusting the formula came into fruition. It just didn't happen. It was many years. Now everybody has a piece of it, but I think you have to realize that that NICEA as a political organization and the BTF do have some clout. But let me just go beyond that. One of the things in that document is that if the state legislature does not fulfill its promise, we can go directly back to court, and the court has already made it clear that they're not going to do what they did the last time. So one of the things that the governor agreed to, and this everybody agreed to, is that if the state decides that it's going to renege, we go directly back to court, and the court has already indicated pretty clearly where it stands. We are also in the process of negotiating a new formula with Mike Rebell, who I don't think you know who he is, but he's the one that led the whole court case that found New York State guilty of violating its constitution, which gave rise to having the formula. He is now working to improve that formula. So the formula is going to get even better. One of the things we need to do is we need to, for example, special education is counted, count special education students, but they don't differentiate. Like we have, in most of the districts, like in most of the charter schools, they count mostly as special hearing impaired, that's special ed. They don't have the 6-to-1 to ones. So one of the things that we're pushing for in the formula is that, no, we have to take into consideration the type of special ed. English language learners. You look at a district, they may have 5 or 6, they count the number of students, but we have 80 different languages. That's going to be in the new formula. So what we're doing is we're working on making sure that that formula is already in the decision. There's already the district can go back, or we can go back to court, or the whole state could go back to court if they don't. So what we're pretty sure of is that the foundation aid formula will be there. Over the last 3 years, it's been over $178 million increase that we've managed to get here over 3 years. $178 million. And next year it's going to be even more than we thought because of the inflation. But anyway, so we've been working on, we care about getting as much money into this district as we can, because then we can argue about how it's spent. But we're in there all the time fighting for it. But that, I mean, we have a very good working relationship with the governor, let's put it that way. And that's helped us. Now, so the big issue with us is not the salaries. We've all worked together. That's not where either one of us started. Like we wanted 8 steps out, 6 steps out, 5 steps out, depending on what was going on. What we have done is we've all reached compromises on the amount of money. So our thing, and the superintendent has been very helpful of being in negotiations. There's been a better tone, whether we disagree or agree, but since she's been there, there's been a better tone in the negotiations. One thing that also is a problem is that there are 2 issues, not just one. One of the district's proposal is that the teachers have to work not 42 weeks, but 43 weeks. Now that doesn't increase the number of days, but it spreads the amount of time for which you're getting paid. So one of your propositions or your proposals that's still on the table is that teachers now have to go 43 weeks instead of 42 weeks in the same salary. Now, ever since, I assume that you might have gotten a copy of the letter that I gave to the superintendent and asked that she distribute it. I assume that you gave them copies of that. Well, one of the things that we're doing, though, is that spreads things out. We, since 2011, whenever there has been a need to increase it to 43 weeks, we have sat down with the district and worked cooperatively and figured out a way of doing that. And we've always come to an agreement, like a calendar that you'll send us for 43 weeks. we will work to get that, implemented. So why the district is considering still now, that's another proposal that you have on the table. Why that's still there? You want to give us the salary, but yeah, we want me to work a week longer for it. Why is that there? I don't get it. Now, as far as the Blue Cross Blue Shield for retirees, we have made a counteroffer to the district. We are waiting for a response from you folks to our counteroffer that we made on Blue Cross Blue Shield for retirees. So we've made a counteroffer. We're waiting for a response from you. And I gave you a copy of our counteroffer. I sent it to the superintendent. I'm sure you got a copy of it. We're waiting for a response from the district. Once again, and Mr. Kuzma said this, by giving it up for future employees, you're not going to save a nickel for 30 years because those employees will not be eligible to retire for 25 or so years. It's for new employees. You hire somebody and they're a new employee, they have to work for how long? 25 years before they can retire. So you don't save anything next year, the year after, the year after, the year after, the year after, the year after. So what, so what's the urgency? You're not saving a nickel for, let's say, even in the best case, for 20 years, because the new person comes in, they have to work for 20 years before they can retire. So you're not going to have to pay anything towards them because they can't retire for 20 years. Excuse me? So, but the bottom line is this, that we have made a counterproposal on that issue, where we have moved away from that it would be forever. And you will have a copy of what our counterproposal is. Where we are right now is we're waiting for a response to that. And also the reason that you still want to extend the year from 42 to 43 weeks. We want closure to this, and we've been working very hard also. We've all come a long way from where we started. But we've been working very hard to have the resources here to make sure that we have a contract in place. And just so that you know, I do get calls from administrators and other people where they have given up Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They won't call you, they won't call their president, but they will call me and tell me the kind of dissonance that they're having from the new members who don't have what they have. And it's happened in union after union. There was one of the big unions, there was a major split just because of that. And we read about it a couple of years ago. It does divide because the new people that come in, and I get the calls. Not from the presidents, because the presidents don't want to say that they're having a division because of this. But I get the calls from the members. But that doesn't mean that we haven't at least then offered a compromise on it. And we're waiting for a response on that. We are committed also, and when you keep saying that teachers are losing money, it takes two. It's taken us a long time to get where we are. So don't try to say that, the BTF is holding up and costing the teachers money, because it took us a long time to get where we are with the salaries and the other benefits. And I would just point out in closing that one of the things that the fact finder did not ask to have done is working on the athletic piece, coaches. Even though that wasn't one of the recommendations of the fact finder, I called our team, the athletic coach team, together. And they met for 2 days, 2 different days for a long time, and came up with an MOU so that they'd have something to do that. It isn't all that either one of us wanted, but it also addressed the ways of making the athletic program better. transportation for the kid, equipment, and things like that. So it went beyond that. And on the busing issue, we worked very hard with the district, and we've come up with an agreement that went beyond, but that we knew that that was a priority of the board. So we did make that something that we wanted to get done, both the athletic and the busing. But we did. With the cooperation, it was give and take on it, but we did get to it. So the bottom line is this. We have worked very hard, both sides. We've gotten to where we are right now. There are only two issues that separate us. Just two. One of them, as I mentioned, working 43 weeks for the same salary. It's 42 weeks when we have always worked with you. And the reason that usually happens is because of those regions. You know, they change the region state that it's late and everything like that. And also we want to make sure that we have, like the BoCES people do and the other districts do, we have that midwinter break or whatever you want to call it. But we've always worked for, since 2011, we sat down and we worked together to do it. So we're moving along. What we wait for now, as we hope for, is where we're looking for a response. First of all, we want to know why the district is it keeping on insisting to this day that teachers work 43 weeks for the same salary. And also, we're waiting for an answer, a response to our counter proposal. And once again, I just want to make it clear. The district isn't going to save a nickel for 30 years because for new retirees, you hire somebody and let's say that they come on board, well, they can't retire until they've been working for 20 years, even if it was 10 years, because they are not going to be able to retire. They can't retire. They just came in, you're just hiring somebody new, just came in. Well, here I am. Well, I can't retire right now. I have to wait 20 years till I've got 20 years of service till I can retire. So you're not saying, but even though we've made a counter offer to try and meet you halfway, and we're waiting for a response from the district, and we will sit down as soon as we've let the district know we're ready to sit down tomorrow, if necessary, and talk about a counter offer and the things that I've talked about. But I believe we can get this done. We want this done just like everybody else does. We've come a long way. And that's with the board's assistance, I'm sure. Nothing just happens. You have to be part of it. But we want this thing settled also. And just as an aside, the reason that last contract took 13 years is because we were in court battling all the way up to both sides were battling all the way up to the Supreme Court. And that's what took it so long. And none of us liked that at all. I know it was terrible. But anyway, so let me just leave you with this. We would like to get this done. We'd like to get it done tomorrow. Really. We have agreed with everything, coaching, school bus, everything, except for two issues. And we've made a counter proposal to the district. And what we'd like to see is if there is a counter proposal to us. That's the way it goes, back and forth. Thank you so much. And hopefully the next time that we're speaking, it will be to say, we got it done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Jim Barnes, I have a question for you. Can you please come up? I have a question for our Chief Financial Officer because I need some clarity here, and I think the board needs it as well. Thank you, Mr. Barnes. So my question basically is, What is the financial impact and ramifications of carrying the burden of retiree health care on this district? Please explain that according to that. Thank you.
Sure. Under the current arrangement, it costs us about $50 million a year to pay for the employee benefits for retired workers. That's almost as much as active employees. But now I'm going to get into some actuarial issues, which I won't be able to define specifically right here and now. But on our balance sheet, we have about a $2 billion liability for future contractual obligations, one of which is retiree health insurance. So simply by stating you're not going to get savings for 30 years until somebody retires, well, that's not true in the sense as you're hiring, if this doesn't get settled and the obligation removed, as you hire people, you're incurring a future liability to pay for their health insurance until they pass. So it's not, you can't just say it doesn't cost the district anything for 30 years. That is simply not true when you take the full financial ramifications to the district's balance sheet and future liabilities. And then to just take it back a step, when we started this whole negotiation, it was based, the generous salaries that were offered were all contingent upon having this future liability removed. It was an exchange for that. You can't take all the very generous salary increases, but keep the liability. That wasn't the package that was offered, and it never was.
Okay, so so when if this item is agreed upon and it is not an issue for the future, how does that impact us in the future? The burden is no longer referenced, or does it release? How does it work?
It won't grow, and it will start diminishing the liability.
So does that help us as far as how people perceive us as far as?
At the state budget level, at the external audit level, any measure of financial health.
So this is important to our financial health as a district as well.
Very important. Yeah,
Bond
I
rating as well.
have calls with rating agencies. We have $500 million in publicly traded debt. I have calls with the rating agencies in like 2 or 3 weeks. They just don't drill down on your current budgets or your 4-year plan. They look at your balance sheet. And on the balance sheet is this OPEB liability for future payouts. And it's serious. Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. Thanks. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So I guess I need to exhale. I need to breathe. With that said, thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Rumor, for sharing your sentiments with us. Thank you, Nate Kuzman, for the work you're doing. Our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Barnes, our superintendent who has taken the time to be there, not just to come in when she needs to come in, but to be there. And I want to also thank Tammy McGee. With that said, I need to breathe. So You know, this is life or death. You do understand that our children are not chess pieces, okay, that they are important to us. And what concerns me as a board member and as a grandmother is that this impacts our children. Now, for whatever reason, we have a pattern in this city and in this district that we have a tendency to put the adults before the children. It happens too often. It has to stop. It has to stop. I have a Narcan in my car, can, whatever it is to help somebody if I see them ODing. There's directions on it to tell me how to use this to save a life. This is about the lives of our children. Okay, we have to have teachers that believe in our children. We have to have children who believe in our teachers. We have to have parents who believe in our teachers, our children. We have to have everybody, the teachers, the staff, everyone working together. And this is not, this is no excuses. There's no reason why this is not settled. I'm not accepting any excuses. I'm not accepting it from the teachers. I'm not accepting it from the students. I'm not accepting it from the parents. I'm not accepting it from me, this board, this superintendent, or any staff. It's time out. Put the children first. Settle this contract. Give the teachers the money that they deserve. We're not going to carry around our neck retiree health care. It's not going to happen. We're adamant about that. With that said, I'd like to move forward. Thank you. Would you take the time to read this?
Okay, so at this time, the board welcomes speakers who have signed up to speak at tonight's meeting. Please be reminded, that all speakers' remarks must be limited to 3 minutes or less. We ask that speakers be mindful that this is a business meeting open to the public and televised locally. Attendees and viewers include persons from throughout Western New York, including children. The board asks that speakers conduct themselves professionally and that their comments remain civil and courteous, bearing in mind that they will be heard by people of all ages. This is an opportunity for Buffalo's residents to address the BBOE about issues that serve the public interest and district mission. And the board asks that speakers demonstrate appropriate decorum. Thank you for joining us. The first speaker we have on this list is Thomas Bertha, concerned citizen regarding special education transparency. Mr. Bertha? Okay. Next, Deborah McKinnon, concerned citizen special ed transparency. Is Deborah here? All right. Next, Akua Harris, concerned citizen teacher, grandmother, diabetes in BPS system. Is Ms. Harris here? Okay. The next speaker, Tashnia, actor, student. All right, she's here. And Ms. Actor will talk about detention, suspensions, and school security.
Good evening, esteemed board members, teachers, and guests. My name is Tisnia Actor, and I am a student from a Buffalo Public School high school. I recently just came back from a trip to Bangladesh. I spent countless hours waiting in long lines at the airport, having my bags and body checked by uniformed officers, metal detectors, and wands being waved in front of me constantly. This was my mother's first time experiencing this type of extreme security in many years, so she was aghast. But as a 17-year-old that has been attending a Buffalo Public Schools high school for the past 4 years, this process was all too familiar to me. This problem isn't just unique to my school. This is a nationwide problem, but I believe Buffalo can be better. In today's world, security is necessary for our schools, but there has to be a way in which my friends and I are not standing outside of the school door shivering in the cold and 10 minutes late to our first period classes. But even as we walk past security officers with an all clear every morning, the policing doesn't stop there. It follows every single student into the building, especially students of color. Many schools in the BPS district hand out detention slips too often. A prime incentive for this is being tardy. Students are punished for something that isn't even in their control. When a child builds up a plethora of tardies and absences, they are punished with detentions rather than being checked on, rather than being helped. In several BPS schools, accumulated detentions can lead to suspensions, or administration jumps straight to suspensions instead. To make matters worse, suspension notices sent home to families often do not accommodate parents who do not speak English, so they are completely lost in what is going on with their child at school. To administration, this may seem like the right way to go about disciplining students and nipping bad behavior in the bud. But in reality, students given suspensions are likely to be suspended again. This form of discipline is a form of ostracism. It is a short-term solution to what ends up becoming a long-term problem. Detentions and suspensions may start out in the principal's office, but for many students, especially students of color, it leads to places like prison. Students are told that their schools and staff care for them, but actions speak louder than words. When are we going to stop confusing protecting students with policing students? When are we going to start creating solutions for students instead of handing out suspensions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Actor. Very eloquently stated. Now, what school? Frederick Lawn Olmsted. Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Joe Maskia. I'm sorry if I messed up your last name. Current Concerned Citizen Building Trades Program. Okay, Joe, thank you, at McKinley.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I make my comments, I'd like to welcome the new board members, Ms. McCutcheon, I don't know if it's Mrs. or Miss, Board Member McCutcheon and Board Member Shula. Congratulations, and definitely congratulations to Sharon Belton Coppin, the new president of the Board of Education. Now you can start the clock. I'm here because it's not about the top 10% of the class, top 50%. It's about the kids who have no direction. I came up with a program, and I did talk to superintendent about it, where I can bring in some tradesmen. Now, you're lucky enough to have tradesmen with the Board of Education that hold these buildings together. Now, what I'm proposing is that one day at McKinley High School, I bring in at least 3 or 4 of the tradesmen. I don't want to fill the room because it gets confusing, but I do have promises from 3 or 4 of the trades. I'm a member of Local 111 of cement finisher for over 50 years, so I have a little bit of experience. So now what I'd like to do is bring these tradesmen in, talk to the children, the seniors especially, just the seniors, boys and girls, tell them what the trades are. They can start out making $30,000 to $40,000 in the trade. Going, some of these tradesmen are making $100,000 a year. You don't need to pay any student debt. You start right out as a tradesman. So now I got a phone call. Superintendent Williams set me up with Associate Superintendent Watson. She did make a phone call to me. I'm hoping she gets back to me. I'd like to put this together before the kids leave school. It isn't going to take that much time, 1 year, one day. And I told the superintendent that if it works, I'd like to take it to all the high schools outside of McKinley. Just have 1 day or a few hours, talk to the seniors, let them know what they can do. The trades right now There's billions of dollars coming to Buffalo. I don't know if everybody knows that. Billions. Just the stadium alone was $1.5 billion. There's at least $3 to $4 billion coming. The trades need people. So if you don't want to be a teacher, become a tradesman. So now that's why I'm here. I want to get this program started. I hope it works. Even if we get 1 or 2 out of a class, I'm happy. They won't be disappointed. It's hard work, but I'll be 78 in 2 weeks, and I'm still working. So if I can do it and pour concrete every day, they can do it. So I just want to get that program started. Hopefully, Associate Superintendent Watson will get back to me. I want to get this started as soon as possible so that we can get this moving. And thank you for my time. I need to get this started. The tradesmen, the trades officers are said they're in behind me 100%. They can't wait to get started with this. So hopefully we can get started before the school year's ended. Thank you very much for the time. And anybody got any questions for me, feel free to ask me anything about the trades. We're waiting to get this started. Thank you very much, Superintendent, for listening to me and having Associate Superintendent Watson call me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No calls. There's a guy. He must be a tradesman.
Thank you, Joe. Next, we have Mr. Fields, concerned citizen parent regarding better. You have the floor.
Greetings and blessed love, everybody. One of the things that needs to be done better is that speaking before you shouldn't be an endurance test where you have to wait 3 hours. And a third of the people who signed up to speak didn't even come, wasn't able to endure that endurance. Mission statement, putting students and families first to ensure high academic achievement for all. I want to take a moment to honor the city employee who lost her life at a concert in Rochester, Miss Belton, where they were trying to squeeze 5,000 to 6,000 people through one exit. Unnecessary. Literacy, people have a right to read, and literacy also means writing, and that means being able to read and write in cursive, longhand. How do you expect students to develop a signature if they never learn how to read or write in cursive writing? Language offerings, they hear a lot about how many different languages are spoken, how many languages are offered, and are some of the languages that are offered, some of the languages that are spoken by students, so that we can have communication back and forth. There's been a lot of time celebrating the good that this district has done. I'd like to see a little bit of time highlighting the areas in need of improvement at these board meetings. Putting students and families first to ensure high academic achievement for all. Do we currently have a multi-tier educational system in this school where we have some who have greater opportunities than others? Do we instill a love for learning in the students, or do we make learning a laborious task? Sustainability for the contract. I hear a lot about how much it's going to cost and how much it is costing. Is it sustainable? Will it bankrupt the system the way we have it right now? Will it help to achieve the mission statement of the Board of Education? The clock doesn't start for all of the 3 hours that we were here, but when the parents or people, public comes up, all of a sudden we have a stop clock that we have to race and try to get everything we have to say in 3 minutes. With the technology that's available today, there has to be a better way for the public to feed back to the board other than coming here, enduring 2 or 3 hours of whatever goes on, and then having to race 3 minutes to say whatever you have to say. So that's part of the better that I'm wishing that we have, because working together truly does work. I congratulate all of us who work together, parents, students, teachers, administrators, and I talked very fast, so I'm not sure how much of that was actually heard because I'm trying to race the clock, but I appreciate and I hope that you find a better way to do this than having to endure this 3 hour, 4 hour meeting. And I feel sorry for you who will be meeting after all of us go. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Bills. You were clear. We understood everything you said. Next, we have Mark Bruno, concerned citizen, parent, teacher, regarding creation of credit-bearing class for social and emotional wellness for students. Welcome, Mr. Bruno.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I really hope we do get that contract done because, as some of you know, I'm friends with some of the members on Facebook. I have a beautiful little 5-year-old at home, and I thought I was going to be home for dinner tonight, so hopefully I could kiss him goodnight when I get home. So I'm hoping we get that done soon. So listen, I come here with my little pipe dreams for education. You know, I'm a kind of a soldier in the trenches, and I kind of share these ideas with you. And what I'm talking about would involve the state as well, because I'm talking about the creation of a credit-bearing class to address our students' social and emotional health or wellness. You know, I work at a school where we see students coming in with, you know, a lot of serious problems, and close to 90% of Buffalo public school students have experienced serious, severe trauma in their lives. And, you know, we're kind of focusing on math and science, but I kind of feel like we're, you know, kind of putting the roof on before we build the foundation. You know, Buffalo's kind of leading the way in trying to address this, and I think the pandemic has exacerbated a lot of these issues. So kind of like my vision would be that students actually like took a class every day, and you know, they maybe had a teacher who would go over, you know, testimonies of maybe some famous people's or singers' trauma they experienced and how it affected their life. You know, maybe they didn't deal with it right away and it affected their children's lives. And I just think this would be, you know, it's paramount that we really start addressing this. And it really hit home a couple days ago. I had a student come into my homeroom crying, and I went to the school social worker to try and find a school psychologist, and there was like literally lines of students out the door. A couple of them were crying. I like had to have the girl like wait in line, and it was kind of frustrating to me. You know, we're kind of being overwhelmed with these issues, so I just think it would, you know, be prudent if we kind of got ahead of the game here and we led the way in New York State with possibly creating a class like this. And I've taken trauma informed like professional development, and it's awesome. Like I wish, I mean, I could take it every few months, to be honest with you. And I think Buffalo teachers, when they do take that professional development, really value it. So I think our students' emotional and you know the mental health is something we should really be focusing on, really above all else. And you know, maybe this is a conversation we could start having. And again, we would need the state involved if we want to create, you know, a credit-bearing class. So you know, I think our students deserve nothing less. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Just so you know, nationally, it's not just in Buffalo, young people are affected. I know Dr. Williams is going to talk about that. This mental health and trauma, social emotional wellness is affecting kids across this country, not just in Buffalo. Thank you. Khadija Husan is the next speaker, caregiver regarding student health and safety. Welcome, Ms. Husan.
Good evening. My name is Khadija Hussein. Today I'm not just here as an advocate, but I'm also here as a formal student, a caregiver of a Buffalo Public School student, also a parent of a soon-to-be 4-year-old in a few days that will be joining our BPS family. First, I would like to quickly touch up on the fact that Ramadan is coming really soon in less than 10 days. As many of our students will be fasting a whole month starting the end of next week. I just would like to give teachers and school staff to please remember that they'll be weak, they'll be hungry, they'll be experiencing low blood sugar, and they'll be tired. So just kind of being very mindful of that, and especially in PE classes, not trying to push our students to do too much if they're fasting and stuff, and allow them to sit out if they need to sit out, and also give them a space for prayer, and also lunchtime, give them a space for that. Next, I would like to just kind of touch up on a lot of things that's been said tonight, especially with the security system. A lot of our students are saying that although we do understand the reason behind why the security system was put up, the safety of our students and, you know, our school staff and everything, really the community, and we do appreciate the district, making an effort to keeping our students safe. But it's also a huge issue for a lot of our students. Like one of the students spoke tonight. The student said that the security system is actually making them late to classes, and they're getting detentions because if it gets triggered by the binder, the metal in the binders, then the students are set to aside and they have to be searched the old-fashioned way. Our kids are keep being told to catch an earlier bus for being late to school. We just kind of have to think about the fact that things are not the way that they used to be. It's not 20 years ago. The environment is not safe. We've seen it last year with the whole mass shooting that happened in Tops. Our kids are having a lot of anxiety and going through a lot of mental health needs and struggles. So I'm just kind of requesting that first, not kind of, but I am requesting if our school staff can be much nicer to our student, because last year I do remember that 3 days before grad school application closed, I actually got in that huge essay that I needed to get into the program. 3 days, and I did get accepted, and I would be graduating with my master's in clinical social work this year, because I work with students, and a lot of times when I asked a lot of my students what's going on with you and what's happening to you, why are you this way? And a lot of our students, actually one that really sticks up to me, said that if you saw what I saw growing up, many men coming in and out of my home, and saw what the things that I had to go through, you would understand why I'm acting the way I do. A lot of our students are coming into school building feeling very hurt from what's going on at home, and when they come in and they get yelled at in school and they're not being treated with and understood, it really does hurt our students. I used to say that these things are not personal, but it is personal when it's our children and our loved ones going through and they're being hurt by this. I wish that we had more than 3 minutes to talk, because I do have a whole lot to say, but I will save it for my little personal meetings I usually ask for whoever. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Husan. And our last speaker, and final speaker, is Edward Spidell, parent, regarding year in review. Mr. Spidell.
Before I start my speech, I'd like to just bring to the attention to the teachers union. DeMarcus Cousins, do you guys know who he is? He's an NBA player that turned down a max contract because he thought he'd get a bigger contract the next year. And he now makes like $3 or $4 million a year compared to $50 million a year. And if we could settle the contract, maybe Nate can grow his hair back. Thank you. A little humor. Approximately a year ago in March, the board made one of the most important decisions in the history of the Buffalo Public Schools. These are my words, we removed the superintendent that was ineffective, and we brought on a superintendent, yeah, we can clap. We brought on a superintendent that loves our children and is trying to make a difference. So I'm just gonna highlight some of the things. I couldn't write everything down. The board now has a new attitude. The board works together. The board's not fighting every month. The board is like they love each other. That didn't happen before March of last year. You guys know it. Multiple new cabinet members. The superintendents made decisions and brought on new cabinet members. The parent congress, we now meet faithfully every month with the superintendent. She invited everyone to the table for transportation crisis. If you had an input, she allowed you to come to the table, and we're still working on it every day. She had parent forums. She was an intern superintendent. She was out there asking us what we wanted. What came out of that? 5 for 25, right? She had a state of the schools. Who ever heard of that, right? Like, she invited us to this thing, and she explained what she was going to do for our children from day one. She had a second round of coffee with the superintendent, right? Like, we got to go out and talk to her a second time. How many sporting events has she shown up to? She went to Syracuse with us, right? Like, we all went to Syracuse. She's everywhere. Tell me a superintendent in the history of Buffalo that did that, right? Our new security system. Still have some problems with it, but we know it's a good thing. We know we're going to work through that. But superintendent's leadership, we brought that into the building. there's only the hardest contracts left, right? All the other contracts negotiated. We all know that this would be the hardest one. It's obviously it's the most employees. Its history is going to be the hardest one. To make tough decisions on a principal. We all know the decisions she made, and people came to this board and were like, "Why are you doing that?" Well, I hear nothing but positive things about that decision. Wednesdays with Williams. We didn't get her this week. We got we were cheated a little, but we did have Wednesdays with Williams. And I just want to say that as a parent, it's a lot easier to do what I'm doing now, to come here. The board cares, the superintendent cares, her staff cares. I deal with many of your staff on a weekly, monthly basis, and it's a huge difference. And I came here to thank you on your 1-year anniversary.
Thank you, Mr. Spadell. Certainly, we know that the wrath of Ed Spadell. But I certainly want to say we certainly were not cheated today with, in my opinion, with Wednesdays with Williams, because Principal English and her school at 45 and her staff, Mrs. Smith, they brought forth something that was a very good idea, and I think it's a best practice, and I think we're going to exercise it. And if you guys remember at the last board meeting, we talked about videoing children, reading, and certainly those L's, the students who are reading to each other in their native language can certainly help us advance children. So thank you. I want to thank the speakers for the night. One thing that keeps coming up, and I need to clear the air on this, is in regards to when the speakers will speak. The board has an agenda. It's approved. It's part of our policy. And unfortunately, it is about Buffalo Public Schools, okay? And we want to use this board meeting to highlight the positivity in our district, because we do not get good press on a regular basis. And today was about highlighting what our children are doing. I'm sorry if it requires people to sit longer than they would have chosen to. And maybe what we can do in the future is try to give a timeline as to when speakers will be allowed to speak. And maybe you can come in during that time or adjust your schedules. But in trying to make sure that the message is clear, that the chains are dropping off of our students, okay, the barriers are being eliminated, and that our children in our district is moving to the next level. And the only way that we can do that and ensure that it gets done in a proper manner is to do it at this board forum. And anyone who watched this meeting today has to admit that there's a lot of things going on in Buffalo Public Schools, but excellence is certainly one of them that is happening. Kudos to all the hard work that's being done. I looked over at the staff and I saw the smiles that were on them, and I know that it represented the hard work that you guys do to see our students move to the next level, and we appreciate that. And I just want to thank you for that. Without further ado, Madam Superintendent, you can respond to the speakers at this point. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, President Cotman. Certainly thank you to all of the speakers that hung in there tonight. I believe the student, Tasnea Etker, so smart and so well spoken. She may have left, but I'm going to ask Dr. Brown to please reach out to her, because it's really education law that students should not be suspended based on attendance. And so if in fact it is our Evolve scanners that are causing students at her school to be late and to begin earning detention slips that are then leading to suspensions, I would like for Dr. Brown to reach out, do a little bit of peeling of layers, and to meet with the student and to speak with the principal to see if there's maybe a disconnect or misunderstanding on what her perception is at her school. Mr. Macia, I believe he's gone, But certainly, I am confident that Associate Watson will continue to follow up with him. I'll remind her tomorrow to do that. I'm very excited about the opportunities that he's talking about bringing to our students. And so almost as soon as we spoke, I certainly brought it to her attention and she was excited also. So I am confident that she'll be following up with him and we'll be moving that forward. Mr. Fields, endurance, you talk about endurance. I was trying to take notes. You were talking fast and, you were saying a lot. So, certainly we also will be giving honor to the young lady who works for the city, who unfortunately lost her life attending a concert. We look at ourselves as just one family. And so certainly she works for the city of Buffalo. And when we heard about it, I'm sure that there is a connection to the Buffalo Public Schools. And so we'll be giving honor to her also. I don't disagree with you about the writing piece. I think it's very important that our children learn to write in cursive. I think we have to find time in the school day to make sure that it happens, or during the summer or after school, and it's possible that that's happening. I'm going to ask Chief Botticelli to reach out to you, but certainly I extend an offer for myself so that you have more than 3 minutes and you don't have to feel like you're squeezing a lot into 3 minutes for you and I to meet. It doesn't have to be at City Hall. We talk and you let me know where it would be more convenient for us to meet, and I'm willing to do that. Mr. Bruno, always good to see you. You always have great idea. I mean, I took a lot of notes, and I think you're spot on when you talk about the social emotional learning. It's near and dear to all of us. And I think there probably was a time in history where it was 80% instruction and 20% spent on mental health supports and social emotional learning. But post-pandemic, it almost needs to be 50-50 because our children have experienced great trauma, and I'm certainly interested in hearing more about that. I know that we do some social emotional instruction during the summer, and we do some during the year, but it probably could be a little bit more structured or expanded. So I'm going to ask Ms. Botticelli to reach out to you and include Dr. Brown so that you can hear about what we're doing. It could be that it's happening more at the younger grade levels, but I'm certainly interested in hearing from them a little more about what your ideas are on what that could look like. Ms. Hussein, always good to hear from you. You're a mom of a 4-year-old. I didn't know that. And so we want to welcome that 4-year-old. Is the 4-year-old coming to Buffalo Public Schools? All right, that's what I like to hear. Thank you for educating us and reminding us that Ramadan is coming soon. And so I'm going to ask Ms. Jasanowski to make sure that in our weekly bulletin that we get something out, and we'll also have something on the website to remind folks that visit our website so that they are mindful and working with our students about that. And congratulations on getting your degree in clinical social work. So President Koppman just leaned over and asked the question I had written. Your baby is coming to us. We certainly welcome you to come to us. And Chief Holly McGee, I'm sure, would be willing to meet with you and see if your credentials, are able to be transferred to be a social worker for the Buffalo Public Schools. We would certainly welcome that. But congratulations to you. President Spidell, I mean, what a way to end what's been, a long meeting, lots of heartfelt discussion. I didn't even realize that my 1-year anniversary had come because you just get busy in the work. And I got a text that morning from President Spidell, who said, just congratulations and reminders. So I can't say anymore, well, I've only been here, 9 months in the position. It is mine now, and I own it, and I'm no longer an infant in the position. I'm kind of a toddler now, and I'm running. You know what toddlers do, they run. So thank you so much. I always appreciate, our spirited discussions. I answer when you call, we talk. Don't always agree, but you're always honest, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate your work. Thank you for all that you do on behalf of not just your children, but, all of the children in the school district. I don't think there's a parent that calls you that you turn away. And so I'm excited about next month. I know that Chief Botticelli is working real closely with you and Ms. Holscher to celebrate Autism Month. We're looking even for this summer at doing some things, and that's really at your suggestion. So if you take away nothing from the meetings, I hope that you take away that we do hear you and we do respond when we hear good ideas. So thank you always. Thank everyone who came tonight, and we'll move along.
Thank you, toddlers. That was really cute. No, but all things seriously, this past year, a lot has happened in this district, and it's nice to see that people recognize it and appreciate it. And it is a new day. I think about that song, Tasha Cobbs, I think, sings it. What is it? Chains, break every chain. And I see these chains are falling off of our children as we move toward excellence. We're going to make this district a high achieving school district. We are. We're going to make sure that happens. Buffalo deserves that. And with that said, the board is going to go into a retreat the last week of the month to focus in on how to make that happen. So we're not just talking about it, we're working on it. Thank you so much. If there are no changes to be done to the minutes, I move that the minutes be accepted into the record as permanent. Um, I've been reading up on my Robert Rules of Order, so I don't have to have a motion for that one. With that said, however, I do need a motion to move forward with the consent agenda. May I have a motion to move forward with the consent? I see Board Member Woods and I see Board Member Makuzi. Thank you. With that said, we have number 13A, resolution proposed amendment to the 22-23 district calendar. Mr. Hurd, you'd like to speak on that?
No, my question was answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Hurd, number 18A, Apple Classroom Technology Student Tablet Computers.
Yes. My question is with that is what's going to happen with the old tablets that's going to be returned back to the district?
Please identify who you are for the people who don't know who you are yet.
Sure, no problem. Hi, I'm Chief Juliana Shalino, CTO, Chief Technology Officer. For the iPads that come back to the district, we're working on some plans now, a more robust replacement cycle. So the devices that are being replaced with the 700 on this docket, those are ones that have keyboards that are compliant with the computer-based testing that we're coming up in the next few years. So we're going to start to domino those devices down to grade levels that may or may not, that are not going to be taking the test, and also put into play some new policies on using those devices for staff.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that we had a use for those older tablets, that they were going to be in service. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Board Member Makuzi, you have number 23B, donations to International Preparatory High School, number 198.
So this is more of a comment. I really want to uplift the school because I wasn't aware of this Goods Deeds grocery store that is happening at iPrep, and wasn't aware if the board knew that this was happening. 2 years that it's in my district and I hadn't known. And I'm just giving you, the public so that they know is that from started in 21-22 school year, they partnered with Food Bank of Western New York to provide the school community with meals as needed, and many students take food home weekly. Registration is a short form that includes the number of people in their household, including age groups. The donation, this $10,000 donation, is from Buffalo Community Fridge because they're acknowledging that some of the stuff that's in this store isn't the toiletries and other things that are needed. So this donation is going to offset costs for shampoo and things like that that the store doesn't currently have for our students. And I just want to uplift that this is absolutely fantastic. And the goal moving forward is that our CTE director, Rob Harris, is going to be partnering with the Mayor Summer Youth Program, hopefully, so that we can pay a teacher to keep it open all summer and to make sure that this is available and supported by student employees. The students are also using their volunteer hours that they need in order to graduate to work and stock the shelves. So it's truly an all-around effort from student to teacher to admin. And I just wanted to uplift it. I'm kind of humbled by the fact I didn't even know it existed, and I'm in the school quite a bit. So I need to go visit that.
Well, that's a great thing. Some appreciate our community partners. They make a difference for our children in their lives. Thank you. No other questions on the consent agenda? Is Mr. Kuzman here? No? Okay, wait a moment till he gets in. I can. Do you want to introduce our new employee? Mr. Kuzman, it's been your show tonight, so we don't mind waiting on you.
My apologies, usually this is quick. All right, how do you vote on the consent agenda, Dr. Evans Brown?
No exceptions.
Mr. Hurd? No exceptions. Ms. McEcken? Ms. McCosy?
No exception.
Dr. Rivera? Mrs. Shuda? Board Member Scott is absent at the moment. Ms. Woods? And President Belton Cotman.
No exceptions.
Consent agenda passes.
Thank you. Moving forward, Mr. Kuzman, do we have, seemed like I thought we had a resolution. It's not on here. No board resolutions, and it's been included in, and we're good? I thought we had one, but it's included in? All right, no problem. Okay, board members, it's been a pretty long meeting. I think at this point, I'm going to ask our committees to do a brief report out of respect for the work that's being done in the committees and to keep our parents and our constituents informed of the work that's being done during our committees. And I would ask you if you could keep it to 3 minutes so that we can get staff out of here and move to the next level. Who wants to start?
For educational support, we met under the direction of Larry Scott, who had asked us to take a review of the attendance and the suspension data, and it was presented by Dr. Sharon Brown, Chief of Student Support, and Darlene Jezanowski, Chief of School Leadership. One of the recommendations was that we would have a monthly report, and Ms. Bullock, I was glad to see that. And in that, we had some good news that from our average daily attendance for February of 2021 to 22, it was 74.35, and in 2022, 20 to 2023, we're up to 81.46. So we're hoping that's the trend. We are all recovering from the effects of COVID, and we will be continuing to look and looking for some innovative ways to address both issues. Thank you.
Thank you. That's our Park District board member who had 2 schools highlighted today, and she wanted you guys to know that.
I'll have a bigger one next week.
See, she's on the roll. She's our chair. Oh, she's having a big celebration next month, so stay tuned. Okay, thank you, Chair. She is chairing our educational support. Next hour.
Let me see if I can beat her. Okay, so, all right, so I'm going to report on the Executive Affairs meeting held on March 8th. I yielded most of our time to Finance and Ops under the direction of Board Member Woods. But our counsel, Nate Kuzma, conducted a presentation updating the board, the public, on BTF teacher negotiations. So that was really the essence of the executive affairs meeting. So I attended the CLRI Urban Forum under the direction of Dr. Fatima Morale and her team on February 16th, which was convened at East Community High School for the conference. The guest speaker was Bakari Sellers, who is a CNN news analyst, a civil rights activist, New York Times bestseller and author, and he was phenomenal. It was a packed house with attendance. There was a lot of children, a lot of arts, etc. So that was really good. Other board members were there as well. I also attended a literacy presentation, The Right to Read, with a guest from California, Dr. Kareem Weaver. That was held on the 2nd of March. Paulette Woods accompanied me on that. He's an expert in literacy. It just seemed like literacy is everywhere, and it's very important. That was conducted in Williamsville. So there were districts represented from Clarence, Frontier, Williamsville, Pioneer, just to name a few. And then lastly, I was honored to be a reader for the Literacy Day Reading Across America at Lorraine Academy, which is not my school, but we're board members. All of the schools are ours. And I read a book to a class of 5th graders that focused on the young life of a 9-year-old student named Ron, and it ended up being Ron McNair, the astronaut. And his goal at 9 years old was to affect change by having the right, as he was a little black boy, so to have the right as any other white children his age to have a library card, to take books out of the library. At that time, apparently it wasn't happening, and he affected change by standing his ground in doing that. So it was really interested. The kids learned a lot, very smart, point questions, and Ron was the first African American astronaut and engineer. That's it.
Okay, the weight is on Finance and Ops to see how time her, okay? Yeah, time her. But she's talking about the money, so we won't rush the money, okay?
No, my report's it's brief. We are in budget season. Our finance chief gave us an update going over our budget, where our budget process is, our projections, pointed out the strong points, the weak points. Got a lot of work to do. He went over the ESSER reports, and we also had a presentation from the Capital Budget Committee from our CFO, which addressed how we're going to put our students in buildings. It's a very important project. So we're moving ahead, finding places and improving buildings for our kids, planning the budget, including that funding the contract, and it will get done. And also funding projects for our partnerships with our community, our ESSER funds. We have to remake education. We have to work with our community. We have to bring in the community because these children are too traumatized and we can't fix it alone. So that's the finance and ops piece of it. It was Black History Month, all of February, so I went to the presentation at East High School. My military unit, we marched in and presented the fact that the veterans contribute so much to the building of our country. But their African history program was wonderful. Hutch Tech had a wonderful one. I attended. And then the only final thing was I went to the African American history program at Stanley Mikowski. And board members always get the problems, the parents calling us. There's always so many issues we're trying to deal with. But these second graders at Mikowski decided that instead of picking Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, the mayor, the local heroes, or the dead heroes like the Journey of Truth and whatever, they picked their board member, Paulette Woods, as their Black History Month heroine. And I was like shocked and humbled because we don't get a lot of thank yous and accolades. And we don't get to sit in a rocking chair with all the kids around us and asking questions. That was the highlight of my year. And the children asked about journalism, and I gave them some Black newspapers, a Criterion and Challenger, and told them our story has to be told. Cultural relevancy, you got to tell your story. So they asked about would they be in the newspaper, and I have to report that we took a picture of all the class, and they are on the front page of the local news, the Criterion. I took 25 copies to the class and the teacher and the assistant principals, and the kids were all excited, and they took their papers home and said, "Mom, we're famous." So that made my day. That's my report.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share?
I'll read my report.
Okay, Mr. Hurd.
Okay, so we had a very busy month, so I'm gonna go fast. I'm just gonna read a couple of things. One thing that we need to read off is sitting on the board for the Erie County Association of School Boards on the executive board. July, we've been planning for our 23-24 calendar. So in July, we got the Boards and Brews that's coming up that we're planning. August is the back to school dinners. Skip down to October is the New York State. This is real big news. The New York State Association of School Boards, the convention here in Buffalo. So that's October 26th to October 28th. So it's something we had to prepare for as a district also. November, we got a legislative dinner, and skipping down to January is our ECASB breakfast. To finish this off, we have Lobby Day, and in April, another thing we're going to do in Buffalo this year is the road rally. So I know some emails went out about that, and we're planning a significant event for a road rally. And in May, one thing that our district, participated in, happy to see Dr. Tanja Williams come last year, is our Scholastic Achievement Recognition Dinner at Salvatore's Garden. So those are some of the things that we're planning for. I was happy to assist in the bill that goes to the New York State Senate, which will be presented in Washington, working with Senator Kruger out of Brooklyn and the Bronx, Senator Jackson, and with their assistant Orlando Fleury about helping writing a bill for women's rights. It's Section 11, Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution that deal with right for women and civil liberties and what's needed to be changed and amended in it. So that was a great pleasure to work and assist with that. And the last thing I just want to say is that I did have an opportunity to go to Albany for the New York State Association of Black and Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Legislative Conference. It was a great time there, and there's so many things that we did there. Talked about education with a lot of senators. Had lunch with Assembly Leader Crystal People Stokes, and happy to have Dr. Fatima Morale come for lunch with us also, and with her MDK program. So a lot of kids came, we took pictures, we ate lunch, and they met a lot of senators, including Latrice Walker, Cordell Clark, Andrea Stewart Cousins, which is I'm a huge fan of. And we talked about education, talked about programs that we need here in Buffalo and assistance for our kids. Some other things we went to, but I'm just gonna let other board members talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Hurd. Board Member Revere.
Thank you very much. Most of my activities have been geared towards setting up committees. The committees that will focus on special education moving forward, I presented to CPAC members at their meeting, followed up with a discussion with CPAC leadership regarding their perspective on the committees, their hopes and concerns regarding the upcoming work. I've met with community members in the special education and disability communities, as well as some staff and local area agencies. And I also started the conversation with chief academic officers Ann Botticelli, and I'm looking forward to talking to her more about this as we move forward. As a result, there are three main things that I've started to put together. One is that we need more student, staff, and BPS caregiver voice as a part of this structure. And so that's informing some ways to think about this. And also clear concerns that this would be another review, since we've had 3 over the history of BPS, but not action on the recommendations given. I'm looking forward to working to make sure that there is action on the recommendations given. And I have to thank Dr. Williams again for her support of this project. And also, there was a recommendation to work with self-advocates to talk in the disability community, to talk about transition as our students transition out into the adult world. I will continue to be reaching out to various stakeholder groups over the next couple of weeks, and we will start moving forward pretty soon after that.
Thank you. I'm excited about that committee and the work you're doing. It's encouraging. And we have down there at the far end, board member, what district is that she's in? Norm, what district are you in? Because we're not used to hearing anything from that district.
Low blow. All right, so I do have a committee, and you've all received my report in writing. So I'm not going to go over it in any detail other than really using and leveraging relationships that I already have in the community to open up conversations and dialogue about some things that have been hanging, looming, sitting there, and or open up opportunities to showcase the amazing things that we're doing and make sure that our elected officials are remembering we exist and that we do these amazing things and are also joining us in showcasing that. So I'll let you read the report and reach out with any questions.
Board member, would you tell us a little bit, let the listening audience know what's the name of your committee and what are you hoping to accomplish with it, because it's a new committee?
Yes, it is the Ad Hoc School Discipline and Government Relations Committee. So we are spending time looking at and taking a deeper dive into some of the data points and what that looks like in relationship to suspensions. We're hearing things that we're doing great, and we know that we have different methods and opportunities. We heard today social emotional supports, and so it's opening up dialogue and discussion in and around that space. In terms of government relations, much to what I said on the ladder, it's holding some of our local officials accountable, such as exploring conversations about turning some of our schools or identifying some of our schools as emergency shelters or emergency parking. As we know, things happen, and David Hills did an absolutely amazing job at putting together a very comprehensive report to kick over to the Common Council, and now we're just waiting on them to coordinate a meeting of the minds, but just opening up conversations with our local officials to make sure that we're showcasing the great things that we're doing and creating open dialogue rather than siloing and miscommunication.
So our board member, our 2 newest board members are up and running, and they're not new at all. They've been here before. They know what to do, and we appreciate that. McKetchin has been very, am I saying it right? McKetchin, okay. Okay, thank you. she is very steeped in working with uh, children who have disciplinary problems and need extra help, and her passion is with those children. So we're going to be very excited to see the things that come out of that. I won't hold you long, but I do want you to know that we did go to Albany, and we had 4 board members, including the superintendent as a board member, because she is. We had board member Hurd, board member Scott, and myself, and we met with delegates, and we met with assemblymen and senators, and we pleaded our case for the things that we need in our district. And we talked about, and we were kind enough to send out to every board member, but I don't think we sent it out to every cabinet member. So we'll make sure that we issue our big 5 issues for Buffalo. Maybe we'll put it on the website so everyone can know what we're fighting for. But we're fighting to take chains off of our children. Okay. And in addition to that, I wanted to bring up the Section 6 situation. We had a press, is that what you wanted to talk about? Okay. We'll go ahead and bring it up then. Go ahead. No, you can go ahead and talk about it.
So, as chair of Section 6, I just wanted to point out the great work that has been happening just across this board. It was made clear earlier that the board is coming together, and that's not just something that you see, it's actually happening. And for me to be able to admit that, see that, and feel that, I just wanted to acknowledge us as a board, and also Nate for just presenting a strong case, getting up in front and holding accountable, an entity that has been kind of pushing us to the bottom of the barrel for years. And I feel like we are bringing other voices to the table, and other districts are coming to the table, and we're starting the snowball of making sure that we're holding people accountable. Our students have talent, they have skill. I am the mother of a daughter who had one of the highest batting averages in softball history in BPS schools, and it was never recognized. And we sat on that forever, no longer. So thank you very much, President Cotman, and everybody else on this board for standing behind Nate as we take this action forward. And as chair of Section 6 committee, I'm ready. The only other thing I wanted to state is that I also put my report in form, sent it to the cabinet, everybody can read that. But I do want to highlight, I was asked to judge a portfolio of a senior from Lafayette International. If anybody doesn't know, at Lafayette International, these are students who are coming into our country either at barely proficient English learning. This student had been in the US for 4 years, had quite the experience coming in, was so articulate as he presented his portfolio that focused on anatomy, the digestive system, very clear in how he presented that, and also art and his interpretation of art. And he actually taught me a few things. And I'm going to be sending around a picture that he had, a drawing he had put together where his thought process and his, I guess, determination to make sure we understood without words what he's thinking and how he got here. I think that we need to really make sure we look into all of the efforts that our students are putting together, no matter where they come from, because they all have a voice. My listening tour was wrapped up in February, where I went to every district, every school in my district, and spoke to students. So you all will get that report as well. But I feel like we are all doing so much where student voices are concerned, and we're listening in a real way. And I'm just so proud of being a part of this board. And I wanted to make sure that I put that out there, especially this month after we all came together like we did against that huge entity called Section 6.
Well, we're not through. That's my update. We're not through on Section 6. We're going to move forward, and to our listening audience, I want to hear any things that you can give me on what happened with Section 6 while you were dealing with them during your years in Buffalo Public Schools. But we are going to continue to work the Section 6 equation, and we're going to work New York State Physical High School uh, Athletic Association as well. This is a statewide problem, and I stated it, and I'm not afraid to say it again. I personally think it is something that the U.S. Attorney General needs to look at, and we will be moving forward to do the proper steps because I believe in following protocols and order and decency, but we are not going to stop. If you saw what happened with Hamburg the other day, that's a regular occurrence at Buffalo Public Schools. Okay, but what was very important to me is that that student stood up, articulated, said what she had to say, proved her points. Today we saw that going on in our meeting. That is our expectation for our students and our listening public. So without any further ado, if no one has any other thing to add, we are ready to end this meeting. May I have a motion to, oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. We have to do our bereavements and then we can go home, okay? All right, I'm sorry? Oh, hallelujah. Okay, this week, our vice president will read them for us.
Okay, can we stand? These are the bereavements for March 15th, 2020, well, the bereavements. So February 16th, Gary Lydell Clark, husband of Dewana Clark, administrative assistant in staff development. February 19th, Anna Margaret Chase, mother of Amy Chase, assistant principal at iPrep School number 198, and mother-in-law of Colleen Chase, a teacher at Culinary Arts and Hospitality Management, school number 355. February 24th, Anthony Pasquale, father of Patricia Latushka, assistant principal at school number 43, uncle of Don Pasquale, school number 64, and Anita Pasquale. March 3rd, Johnny May Mayo, dedicated and lifelong community leader, founding principal of Build Academy, and the first full-day kindergarten in the city of Buffalo, among numerous other educational innovations, and retired assistant superintendent for elementary education. March 1st, Buffalo firefighter Jason Arnold, our beloved hero. March 4th, Lisa Liggins passed away 2 months after a New Year's Eve fire at her home, which also took the lives of 5 of her grandchildren. 4 of them, Buffalo Public School students from school number 89 and school 81. March 5th, Rondesia, how you pronouncing it? Rondesia Belton, tragic victim at a concert held in Rochester, New York, cousin of Talisha Colston, budget examiner in IT, and Darquisha Colston, typist in human resources. March the 11th, Teresa Ann Leather Barrow, retired BPS teacher and literacy coach, Williamsville Central School District board member. March 4th, Charles Edward Mays, retired physical ed teacher and coach, husband of retired teacher Phyllis Mays, father of Charles Bondinia, Willis, Agron, and Robert, cousin of board member Terrence Hurd. May we bow our heads in silence. Thank you.
Okay, without further ado, may I have a motion to adjourn? Jennifer, second by Cindy. Thank you all for attending our meeting. Be safe.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Hey, Glenn. Thank you. Appreciate it. Where's that here?